it's going?
We're live.
That is cool.
We're here.
All right, we're here, ladies and gentlemen. Finally, we are on. Now, this is cool. I am blown away with the amount of computers you have here. It's like it's like NASA in this place. It's insane.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and then you know, before we started here, you were explaining some of the setup that you have here, which is kind of cool. And you can, I'm just overwhelmed, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, well,
You know?
like I've explained on channel, we have, well, you see multiple computers. We're kind of on the main screen right now, so
Yeah.
you see all 6 screens that I have going on. There's actually 2 computers. The ones on the side here, there's a smaller one, and then there's a bigger one with the big red LED lights. Those are custom builds that my son and I built together.
Yeah, the
and
computers.
one of them, the big one, controls basically these 3 down below and this monitor up above.
Yeah.
And I do all of my imaging, any of my processing, all that kind of stuff. Also, we're streaming through this machine right now. It's got multiple cameras hooked up to it throughout the garage / observatory, I should say. And then these 2 outer monitors are on this little machine that is actually it's actually a virtual server that I built, but I'm utilizing it for this. It actually controls my the telescope, so I run like Stellarium and stuff through that. I also have some weather programs and other stuff like that I run through there. But that's what the two outer systems do.
The middle screen is what kind of trips me out. You don't see it in the video though, but this middle screen is kind of warm looking.
Yeah, if I switch to this,
240 hertz.
So this is the middle screen right here, and this is 240 hertz. This is actually a gaming screen. I play, you know, we have this setup, and it actually it doubles as a gaming system, of course, right? So I have a gaming monitor.
But from this angle, it looks kind of warm on that side.
Yeah, it's
cool on this side.
It's probably the case. It's definitely a smoother.
It looks pretty burnt. It looks like an old page in Burnham's Celestial Handbook.
Does it?
It really does, man. For that reason, I like this computer.
Exactly, right?
That is cool. And then the other one, this guy up here, we were talking about. This guy up here was the one you were telling me about, but this is kind of under construction.
Yeah, this is this website that you see, this real-time detection system. This was designed by a gentleman in Australia. I got it from Dylan O'Donnell, who is one of, he's a big-time streamer, incredible imager on YouTube, and he posted some stuff about asteroids one day, and he showed that, and he said that one of his buddies was basically building this little website, and then he didn't say anything anymore, and I poked him a few months ago. I said, hey man, I want to get that. So he sent me the link to it, said he's still working on it.
Well, maybe this will inspire him to get on the ball with
But basically what it's showing is you put in your Latin long in there, and it shows what observable asteroids are over you at that given moment. In time is what it's supposed to be showing.
He's got a lot of work to do, man. Because
it's so cool looking.
I think they've discovered like about 250,000 asteroids so far.
Oh, I know, right? Well,
it's something like that.
Yeah,
and I think you got like 30 or 40.
Well, it's funny.
You got a long ways to go.
I imaged last night, and I'll show you guys in a minute. But I imaged last night, and I'm searching for one particular asteroid, but I plate solve into Astrometrica, and you look at the amount of asteroids that are known in that image down to like.
There's a little one that you. There's one that you were tracking.
Yeah, I was tracking that, but it's amazing, amazing the amount that are there that you don't even see based on what scope you use and that kind of thing. You know, but yeah, I was kind of showing you. We're zoomed in quite a bit right now, so the image is a little bit rough. But I want to show you guys. Basically, you can see.
God, you can see the scintillating.
There it is, right
and
there.
I never think that you'd see that at f2 roughly.
Yeah, this is f2.
But oh yeah, there it goes. You can see it moving.
Yeah, you can
right
see
there.
it moving right here.
That is so cool. Fades from view or something though.
There it is right there. I can zoom out a little bit.
And that was about 15.6 magnitude, you said?
Yeah, this is a 15.6. So basically, I have what I'm doing is I image about 30 minutes at 1 minute a piece, and then right now what I'm doing is I'm blinking. What do I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 or 7 that are about 5 minutes a piece images.
Back in the day, they referred to them as blink. Well, it's still, I suppose, blink comparators, but they were all mechanical. You know, at Lowell Observatory, they actually, Clyde Tombaugh is using mechanical.
Here it is,
it's crazy.
So we found that one last night, but that's actually a well-known one. But I'll show you. I'm basically blinking those through, and I start searching through to find. But the big thing is when I put it into Astrometrica, which I've kind of already done, here's the asteroid right here. If I hit play, you can see it moving.
Yeah.
There it is, and it's if I get a little mark on it here, it's magnitude. Says magnitude 15.8. Shows a date on it.
Right.
But if I do a searching here, it's going to tell me what it is. This is Saint Exupéry. This is a well-known asteroid that's already been measured, but that's what that one was. It's really funny when you start going through here, but you see all these red boxes. Let me scroll out. Yeah. These are all the known asteroids just in my image. You know,
this is crazy.
So, what's that, Brandon?
Your upper camera shows no signal.
Oh, it does, huh? Okay.
It doesn't?
Can you, yeah, just turn it
That
off.
one?
Yeah, that one. For some reason, I don't know why that one's not showing that.
It just happened right now?
It just happened right now.
Oh,
But
I bet I know why.
Can you make it work?
did the battery die on it, or did you? I don't know if it'll come back on with.
Maybe you can make it.
You know what? It probably did its fun.
Or maybe it's overheated?
No.
It probably did its battery.
Oh, there it is.
Yep, it's
There it goes.
battery saving.
Okay.
Oh, battery
So I don't
saving.
know how to
Okay.
turn that.
Basically, you start thumbing around
It looks
here.
like there's like 40 asteroids
Oh,
just on that
there's
one.
so many, man, and
Wow.
I start like I was looking at this guy right here.
Yeah.
If I play it, can you guys see that? Yeah, right here. You
No,
can
what's-
see that in the screen
What's
moving
the
around.
fascination though? Because you know what's so funny about all this is that everybody that we sell cameras to, you know, they want to do astro imaging, but you're just like totally on another ball here. You're like with asteroids, which is kind of unique. It's
Yeah.
cool. This is kind of like putting technology in another arena, you know, completely. I mean,
Well, yeah, you know what? I love history.
What is the deal
well, let
with
me
the-
just tell you, I love history of astronomy, and I've shared this with you many.
and by
many
the way,
times.
guys, just not to interrupt, there is a library, an astronomy library on the other side. I think the camera.
I do
pans
have
on
an
it, but-
astronomy library on the other
Yeah,
side.
and it's got a lot of history in it. Anyway, continue.
You
I'm
actually
sorry.
see a classic scope here behind
Yeah.
us, but I'm fascinated with 16th, 17th century astronomers and just the work that they did with very little, and
Yeah.
and it's just such a neat thing, and I don't know, there's something about discovery, going through science and trying to do stuff that not everybody's doing,
Yeah.
and try to learn some stuff and just see things, and also the fact is, I mean, look, that we all know that asteroids, I don't. Our channel's never associated with anything doom and gloom. Like, we don't ever talk. We're here to do the science of it, but it is something for humanity in a sense too, because we are trying to measure and collect orbital
but
data
we might
for
find
this
some
thing,
incoming like asteroid.
Well,
heading
it's
for Earth,
funny,
ladies and gentlemen. We are.
I get my buddies all the time are like, let me know when I gotta pack up and
What was the
the
scene?
day.
Remember, I'd say, you guys, you should Google this. The opening, I think, to Armageddon.
Oh yeah,
Or
when
the-
he's in there.
Just get my phone book. Was it?
It's like,
Just get-
your pot pie's on the oven. Come get it. Oh, that's a great
I
scene.
want a divorce.
It's a great, exactly.
Yeah, that was hilarious. But gosh, man, you wonder, who knows, you might be discover the next inbound asteroid headed for Earth. You know?
I know.
And it's funny because my wife has this big fear about asteroids, and I play pranks on her sometimes, and it's kind of funny.
The other thing is my son is 14 years old, and I'm trying to get the time I can with my
Yeah,
son.
Brandon,
So
he's heading for college
He's heading for
eventually.
college eventually, and so my father taught me how to build computers. I'm actually, those that you don't know, I'm an audio post-production guy is what I really am. I mix TV shows for film and television. I've been doing it for over 20 years.
And you still do
and
it.
and I still do it to this
Yeah,
day.
you have
and,
a pretty extensive record.
I've worked on a lot of really big stuff with a lot of really big people
Yeah,
in
it's
Hollywood.
cool.
and
I mean,
it's been
that
great,
whole sound room looks pretty insane. You got all
Yeah,
this.
my studio's a blast. But so
pretty
the bottom line is technology. I love it, and I've always been a computer guy. And my father got me into it when I was a kid. I showed Brandon, and he's kind of taken off with it. So I've kind of ridden the train with him to say, hey, because I'm trying to enjoy the time too. But I've also, as I've known you for
many years.
a lot of years.
I remember
you know?
Brandon when he was just a tiny little tot.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
And he used to come into the store.
I know. So,
And then now he's like doing all the operations. here.
Exactly,
Don't give
exactly.
Mike all the credit for all this stuff. Brandon's doing a lot of it, right?
Brandon's actually on the the side right now,
Yeah, he's,
monitoring the feed.
It's cool.
Watching
it's like
the chat
frickin'
and all that kind of
NASA
stuff.
Jet
so.
Propulsion Laboratory.
Yeah, it's pretty
We're tracking
crazy.
Voyager spacecraft.
Exactly.
It's cool. It's really cool. So you collected some data using the Hyperstar on the 8-inch.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you're getting down pretty faint. Light pollution's pretty, we got some light pollution in this
We
area.
do. We do.
Right here. But still, the camera's fast. You can pick up a lot of data in a short period of time. You have a pretty good swath of the sky. Right?
Yeah, like this one, you can see that I'm looking at, it's showing 15.3 magnitude. It's
Yeah.
pretty faint, but it's there. And that one is actually, if I see what it is,
Yeah.
it's Natalie, but yeah,
so
15,
cool.
16 magnitude with an 8-inch with a hyperstar. These are just 1 minute
Yeah.
exposures,
Sure.
And the one we were really going after, which is in here somewhere. Let me scroll around here and see if I can find it. Is this 19? Here it is. This guy. This 2019 DN. Now
Right.
you can just make it out. This thing's moving right here across the street. See the little white dot in the box?
Yeah, that's very cool.
So this
is that flicking through frames on that side?
it's flicking
It
through
was.
frames. I'm literally just flicking through. These are all 5 minutes apart,
That's
and you can
beautiful.
just make this thing out right here and there.
Yeah.
And this is if I can get a good
Did this
measurement
program
on
you
it.
say pick up satellites too or not? Just so you didn't mix them up, because I'll tell you guys.
What happens is
What?
when you plate solve, it's
Yeah.
going to the minor planet orbital data
Only. Okay.
database. That's where it's getting this information from. So it's going to
Got it.
know.
Okay.
See, that's 15th magnitude right there, 15.7.
Yeah.
This is the one we're trying to get data on. This is this 19.
Yeah.
This is kind of a newly discovered asteroid. It doesn't have a huge amount of data on it, so we're trying to get this one. But yeah, you can basically see. So if I can pull this one up, and it's 2019 DN. That's the one that we were looking for.
That is
So I can go
cool.
through here, and I can basically take measurements with each one of these shots that I've gotten.
You know what's so cool about the asteroid hunting too is this is just raw data.
Yeah.
So it's not like you guys that are into imaging we talk to constantly. Simon does, where they're doing all kinds of processing data.
Yeah. Oh,
Here it's just live.
Yeah,
like
and
supernova.
I'm not here. I tell people on the stream, I'm not here to take a pretty picture. Unfortunately,
I don't think it's unfortunate. It's a twist,
and that because that's a whole thing. And I have massive. Those guys are amazing. I mean, it's but it's funny being in the film industry. It's like when I see them processing, doing stuff. It's like, well, those are like all my graphics artists I know. Is all this kind of because it takes a whole talent just to learn stuff like Photoshop and PixInsight and all these kinds of things because there's so many tricks. That's where guys like Dylan O'Donnell is just excellent at understanding, how to process an image a certain way. But I'm not here to get a pretty picture. I'm just literally taking pictures and then stacking them and seeing where I find movement, But this is basically the image that I start with from Hyperstar right here.
Now
so.
you have the 11-inch. So
Yes.
we just got Mike an 11-inch, and that's cool. And we may put a Hyperstar on that one.
Yeah, I ordered the
And you get some
Hyperstar. It'll be
fainter-
here Monday, so
Oh, cool.
we're going to
Okay.
be messing with that. But
Great.
this is the version 4 brand new Hyperstar that's we put on our HD8.
Yeah.
And I was really happy with it. It works really well. We had some issues with the one we had on the earlier videos that we posted. We had some collimation issues as we were talking about. But again, I've been around astronomy as knowing Daniel, and I've done all kinds of different things. But I'm very new at this, so it's trial and error for me
This
in
is
a lot of ways.
You did a lot in a very short period of time, and I think most of the time the people we talk to, we always get calls at the store. People buy cameras, and you've covered a lot of it. There's other videos that people can check out, and the ZWO cameras are super popular now.
Yeah.
There's QSI, there's SBIG, there's FLI. There's all kinds of cameras that are available now, but I would say that the ZWOs are just dominating the market by far. And the CMOS sensors are very popular now.
Oh yeah.
It used to be CCD. Now it's just CMOS is just taking over. And I looked at some of the images that Simon and even Dan Yagi that works with us. Dan's only Yagi's only been imaging for a year and a half, and he's doing astonishing stuff in such a short period of time. So I just think it's amazing how much you picked up in such a short period of time. But honestly, you do have a lot of computer backgrounds. I mean, you built your own computers. I mean, these things look like something out of Battlestar Galactica or something crazy. I've never seen computers like that. What is it, plexiglass or something? Or some kind of
they're actual glass. Those are
Yeah.
thermal take Tower 900 cases with actual glass. They're glass cases.
I'm sorry, could you run that Thermal Tank 900 what?
It's a Thermal Take 900 tower case.
Oh,
I got a
geez.
couple of them, but
Forget it, he's out of my
you know what? Look, at the end of the day, too.
You think I'm a nerd, man.
I know. I got to tell you, people. We play games on these systems too. You know, I was telling Daniel, you know, I had eight teenage boys in this garage about a month ago playing Fortnite on all kinds of different, because we're, you know, this is what we do too. My son streams games as well with his, so, you know, we just enjoy it tremendously, and I just have the ability to do it. So,
and you know, we've made a lot of good friends from. I have made countless great friends, you being one of them. As customers, I mean, most of the people that I talk to have great, you know, working relationships, and probably a few might be watching the stream right now, are people that are customers of ours, and we've developed a lot of friendships through it, and it's been a long haul, you know, because I've been at this 25 years, and I've been working with Farah for, I don't know, 15 years, I think. I don't know, I've lost track. I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
And Farah and I go back. It was really funny. I remember I used to work at Scope City back in the day, and I think with Jeff Wood, and it's funny as we've evolved through this. What is that, a
thanks,
commercial?
Rick, for the subscribe. We just got a subscribe on Twitch. We're streaming on multiple platforms, so we got a new subscriber.
So
thanks, Rick. Appreciate the subscribe. Thank you.
That's fun.
It's awesome.
That's hilarious.
Oh, he subscribed on YouTube. That's what it shows. YouTube,
okay.
right? Yeah. So thanks.
No,
Rick.
but what I was saying is that we developed a lot of you know, friendships and business relationships, and we have a lot of great clients across the country. And we'll be going to NEAF, which is the Northeastern Astronomical Forum, and we're going to be doing. That's a trade show, so I think there's like I don't know, 2,000 to 3,000 people in attendance, and it's huge. It's in New York. It's a huge gymnasium. It's been going on for many years. I think I've been going to it for something like 10 years. And it's kind of funny. I told Farah to go to it now. She's like, we got to go to it now, you know.
Yeah.
But in the end, it's a pretty cool show, and we get to meet some of our East Coast clients that we don't get to see. And it's funny because I tell everybody that show is very successful. There's been other shows that have tried to. There shows here on the West Coast just don't seem to work, and I think I know what it is. And I think what it is the weather on the East Coast is so bad. That, you know, think about it. On the West Coast, we have, Orion telescopes. We have Meade instruments. We have Celestron. You know, we have a lot of the people that are in this industry are actually here on the West Coast. I think, you know, on the East Coast are just buried in bad weather. So I think like a I don't know, an Astro convention or something is like a big deal to them.
For sure.
Here they just don't work. We had PATS. We had this Arizona Science and Astronomy Expo, which, you know, Alan Trano, you know, he had passed away, bless his soul, you know, but he tried to do that. But the shows here on the West Coast don't seem to work.
Yeah.
Know? But check out NEAF, NEAF, Astronomy, and that's going to be in April.
There's we have a webcam on the other side of the garage there pointed at that telescope, but there's our astronomical
There's so
library.
much going on in here.
That's
What's
my
on?
library on the other side there. That's on the other side
Oh,
of the
yeah,
wall.
yeah,
there.
you can see it over there. Yeah, I see that. That is so cool. And you spend a lot of time.
There you go.
Yeah, that's cool. You spend a lot of time, you know, reading about the history of astronomy.
Oh, I love it.
And you know, it's funny. It's interesting because we take it for granted, and then we have all this technology, and it's fantastic that we have the ability to do this now.
Yeah.
You know, with the cameras that we sell. I mean, you can get a camera for $200, $300, $400. I don't know. They go on up to $1,500. It used to be a lot of money. There's still a lot of money.
Yeah.
But it was out of reach of people, you know, because they didn't have like, you know, $8,000 or $10,000 to load on a huge camera, you know, or an expensive telescope.
That's
but I'm
true.
telling you guys, you can, you know, people wonder, you can get a telescope for $50 to $100 to $200, and you can actually see the rings of Saturn with that. You only need like 20 or 30 times to see the rings of Saturn as far as magnification is concerned, or you can even get binoculars. And then there's this huge market trend with imaging now. It's a big deal now, and there's a huge gold rush of people that purchase and buy refractors now.
Yeah.
And we have them on our website. I don't know if our telescopes.net logo thing is up here or not. I think it was up there before, but
We'll put the Discord link up there, Brandon. People.
yeah, I don't know. But nevertheless, there's a huge market now for people buying refractors, and they're flooding the market now.
Yeah.
It used to be SCTs like what you have for your Hyperstar, and Hyperstar is kind of a unique thing. I mean, you can share what you want with your experiences about it, but it's a great way to collect information in an extremely fast period of time.
Yeah.
On a large aperture scope. I mean, you can't see these faint stars that you see on the screen if you're viewing visually. It wouldn't. And by the way, the magnitude scale is logarithmic, sort of. You know? So it's hard to appreciate it. And but we're seeing really faint stars and asteroids, for that matter,
Well, you know
Completely
what I love about it too is it allows your Schmidt to be versatile. I mean, the fact is
Yeah.
you can take the thing off, and then you got an F10. You put a reducer on, you got an F7. You put a Hyperstar on your
Hey, Mike,
your
can I have
F2.
my water over there?
Yeah,
Thanks, bud.
it's like it's amazing, you know, the versatility of it. So that's what I love about it. I mean, the fact is I can do anything I want with it at any given time with these systems. So
Yeah.
you know, it's for me to. I mean, I'm very new to it, so I don't know exactly what it would take to collect this amount of data if I was to just put the camera on the back of the scope.
And Mike's only
you know?
been at this for how long? A month now?
A month, I guess.
And don't get me wrong,
you know?
Mike's goes back with astronomy a long way. I mean, we
Yeah.
go back, I don't know, 10 years at least.
Yeah, and
Probably more.
remember, I mean, I was trying to do imaging back in the
Yeah.
days with DSLR camera and all that kind of stuff, and I had to have guide scopes and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff.
And you had a
it was
Dob, Sony
Dob,
telescope,
Victoria,
or
all
Dob,
kinds of stuff,
10 inch, I
yeah.
think it was.
Yeah, and I've been through a
ETX
lot.
scope?
It's a lot, yeah. I had an
Hey,
ETX.
which reminds me, I got to tell you my most embarrassing moment. Remember I was telling you
Oh,
about
yeah. But
it was really funny. We
Supernova
were
guy.
on the Cloudy Nights forums, and there was the ETX, I don't know, was it ETX 70? At
Yeah,
one
you said
time,
the
70 or
70,
something.
right.
I think it was. So some guy was posting on the Cloudy Nights forum about using an ETX for imaging, and it was really funny. It was an older guy. And I said, you know, you can't really use that kind of scope for taking pictures. You know, anybody who has not had an embarrassing moment in astronomy is lying to themselves, because I have a few of them. And this is one of them. And this guy decimated me in the forums about this, you know, decimated me. I was laughing so hard. This guy was imaging quasars with an ETX telescope.
Incredible.
This is not a joke. And he actually had them labeled. And in case you don't know what quasars are, they're extremely distant galaxies in the billions of light years away. So when you look through an amateur telescope, most of those galaxies are like 100, 200 million light years away or less. But once you start getting into the billions, that's just getting out of reach, you know, for visual. You need really huge scopes.
Yeah.
And this guy was imaging quasars, and it cracked me up because he labeled them and everything, and it just floored me. But you know, it's amazing. I think the lesson was learned that if you put your heart into something, you could do something amazing with it.
I remember 20 years ago I bought it. My first scope was an ETX, and it had the little tabletop mount.
Yeah.
And I couldn't
think
do
it was
it.
a 90, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a 90. You
These
couldn't
are
do
massive,
anything with it.
little
I mean,
massive
this
Yeah.
was so long ago. But I didn't even have a tripod. I mean, I remember taking it out in the park one time, sitting it on the bench, you know, because it literally just had a tabletop tripod with just some little legs, you know.
Yeah.
And I had that thing for years and years.
ETX
you know?
was one of the biggest selling telescopes in the history of astronomy. I can't divulge in the numbers, but you know, from me, but I'm telling you, man, it's incredible how many scopes they sold. And there's a few popular telescopes that are out now that you can use. But the Hyperstar is in a completely different game. And the other thing too is, and you and I were discussing this, you got into Hyperstar. I was trying to explain to most people that are imaging now use refractors.
Yeah.
They'll buy a Celestron VX mount, which by the way was just recently discontinued. So I know they'll come out with
Can you
something.
still get those? Those are still on sale.
Whatever's
Are they gone?
left, and that's
Whatever's
it.
left.
They've depleted.
Jump
I think
on
they were
them now,
selling
people.
at $699. I
Hey,
think they're
real
all
quick,
gone.
let me put a plug in.
Yeah.
You see the telescopes.net? Go ahead and order
Yeah.
that. Put in promo code Asteroid Hunter, man.
Oh, you
see
have
a
that there. I'll be
discount on
darned.
your
The only
order,
thing is
man.
you won't be able to get a VX mount right now. But there's other mounts.
Other mounts.
Yeah, there's
Other
other mounts
mounts.
that you can get. It's not that. They're gone now. They're discontinued, and they'll come up with a new one in April, I'm sure. And Celestron's no fool. So now there's other mounts that are available. There's Skywatcher. There's Explore Scientific, and
a lot of great stuff out there.
yeah.
A lot
Scott
of
Roberts
stuff.
is the C. You guys should Google Scott Roberts. This guy, I love Scott Roberts. Amazing guy. He's been a mentor to many of us, and he worked at Meade. He was one of the VPs at Meade, and now he ventured out and developed his own company called Explore Scientific, and they have this wonderful scope that we sell. We have the exclusivity on it, exclusive on it. It's called the Comet Hunter, and it retails for I think $699 or something.
Yeah.
It is a fantastic scope. I mean, it's a lot of bang for the buck. It's called the Comet Hunter. It's got a carbon fiber tube. It's like a magnetonian. And it's just a great little scope. And we still have them. People are like, you really have it? Nobody else has it. And I said, yes, we do have them in stock. We have lots of them in stock. We purchased all of them, the remaining stock
Is this
that they
right
had.
here?
Yeah, that's the scope right
here.
there. What we did is we purchased them. People are like, do you really have them? Yeah, we really do have those scopes. And if you look at Explore Scientific's website, they have a link that links to our site that shows that we have, have them available. So those are, this is a great telescope for imaging, and as well as, astrophotography, or whatever, imaging. And visual. You can use it visually. It has beautiful pinpoint stars if you use it visually. Some of the challenges that people have had is trying to learn how to collimate them.
Right.
And it's kind of weird. Maybe at some point we can talk about how you collimate Mach Newtonians, and they're about 4 times less sensitive to collimation than what a conventional Newtonian is. It uses a corrective meniscus on the front, and at some point we can talk about that. But that's a great little imaging scope.
For $600, $700?
$700. It is amazing what you can buy for very little cost. Telescopes.net is sponsoring this channel, and we do that by providing Mike with some of the equipment, to help him do what he's doing here.
And real quick, when you're imaging, you're doing a lot of stuff. I found that if you're doing long exposures, you really want to try to get a guide scope because you really want to try to have tracking to go keep the thing. But I'm only doing 1-minute exposures, so I'm literally just, that's the other thing, the simplicity of what I'm trying to do. The fact is, I hook the telescope up, I plug it into the computer. It's like, there's actually, I know it looks crazy, but that's me making it crazy. You could do it a whole lot easier.
People come in and say it all the time. I'll tell you what, put on our website, I want to talk about this for a second to help people.
Yeah.
A lot of people come in the store like, I want to image, I want to take pictures, and I understand the fascination with it. People want to see colorful pictures. It's understandable. There's a thing called the Star Adventure by Skywatcher.
Is it on here?
It is. Just punch in, see if it comes up. Star Adventure. Yeah. And it's a device from Skywatcher. And what it does is you attach it. Polarline's got a tracking system with different sidereal rates. Sidereal rate is just a term used to explain there. Do that one right there for 329.
This guy?
Yeah, click on that. Okay, so what this device is it going to come up on here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
There it is.
Perfect. So what this device does is people want to take pictures. Is you take a digital SLR camera. You can take even a CCD camera or CMOS camera, sorry, and connect a lens to it and track with it. This is a great way to start imaging. If you want to take pictures, it's very inexpensive. You can attach it to a photo tripod, that you might already have. And then you put your camera on it, and it tracks. You align it to the north. There's all these apps on these that you can download that have polar alignment assistance. And what that is that every company has their own style of polar alignment tool or something, and they have a schematic that shows you what that polar scope looks like, so that when you look through it, you know where to position the pole star. The North Star, in order to track, you need to have your mount or equatorial mount pointed at the North Star, so it can track the Earth, so that the axis is parallel to the Earth's axis. That's the whole idea of it, In your case, because you're using Hyperstar, you don't have to be perfectly polar aligned. When you look at sky, at the North Star is not the true pole. The true pole is about a degree, which is about 1 finger width off. So you need that schematic to get that polar alignment, to get it tracking accurately. So when you expose the camera for a long period of time, you can do it much easier. You get an accurate tracking.
Yeah.
The thing is a lot of people, when they come in, they have this idea in their mind, preconceived notion that they need this huge telescope. Now, you got a huge telescope. You're making this very difficult for him. He wants a 14-inch. I'm going to tell Farrah, he is worthy of a large 14-inch telescope because, oh my God, when I looked at what he's got going here, it's amazing. But you don't need tremendous money to image. This thing is a prime example of it. You can probably put your existing camera that you already have.
Yeah.
And there's filters. There's one by Astronomy called the CLS filter. It's a broadband narrowband filter that's used to shoot what's called emission nebula. Emission nebulas are things that when you see these red colors in photographs, and you can do that with this device for very low cost.
Yeah.
Because once you get into the bigger scopes and you get into these long focal length scopes and stuff, that means you got to get a bigger mount. And you don't need a huge telescope to take beautiful images. You can go to Astrobin. Astrobin.com is like the Facebook of astro imaging. And you can punch in any type of camera, any type of telescope you want to see other people doing it. One of the big sellers, go to our website for just a second. I want to explain this to people.
I also want to just point out, because a lot of stuff that I've learned, I mean, you got to utilize the internet, people. It's like there's all this stuff that I've learned as far as blinking and using astrometrica and doing this stuff to measure these asteroids. It's all been through the internet. I mean, I don't have anybody telling me, oh, this is what you do. I have to research it. So this system you're talking about, I can already tell you, well, there's actually a number of backyard astronomers that, in fact, one gentleman who's got a really nice channel, man, and shoots a lot of great images. He just went down to Costa Rica on his honeymoon, and he took something like this, and he shot a nebula down there, and it was incredible. The images is beautiful, and he just shooting with kind of a basic setup, something very much like this that has a little tracking. And it's amazing, but you just gotta get out there and do it, and do a little research. And,
the key is getting people aware and getting them to know that they can do this stuff. And when you get into a tracking mount and a big scope, it introduces a lot of things. You got like backlash. You have, how accurate your polar alignment. It's really important. There's guiding, because there's all these little flaws called periodic error correction in the mounts and stuff. And so they have these devices to help to make it track real accurately. And
I would also say, I mean, you and I talk about this all the time, is that you can get so caught up in the technology aspect that you lose the actual beauty of what you're doing. I mean, the fact is
Farrah's like, it's so funny when we have these.
I mean, we are shooting the night sky, people. I mean, it's pretty incredible when you think about it. And then
it's astonishing when you look at what Barnard was doing, with that old astrograph that he had. And where we've come, it's astonishing the amount of technology. In fact, there's so much technology now that all people do is bicker over it.
Yeah.
It's just become an ending in itself. And a lot of people who get these things sometimes don't even take good pictures.
I know.
Some do, some don't. It just depends on your level of enthusiasm and whether you want to do it. By the way, not to lose track real quick, I just want you to punch in essential.
Hey, Brandon, how's the audio sounding okay? Everybody sound okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay. Scroll down to 80. It should come up. I don't know. Go up to the top and go to the left. Up. Keep going up. Scroll up. Left, where it says telescopes in the left column.
Okay.
Good.
It sounds clean. Everything's good there, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no, it's not there, but click in the left column where it says telescopes.
Right here, right?
You punched in essential, so go back.
Oh.
So when you punch in essential, scroll down and click telescopes on the left column.
Sorry about
click
that.
Okay, now click on that middle one right there. There you go.
Sorry about that.
Okay, this is true. And I will tell you something right now. And I just want to tell people about this stuff because they want to know about it. The thing is that when you go online and you research and you look at most of the companies that are out there, the competitors in the United States, and we're one of the largest dealers in the United States, the prices are basically the same. And the companies that when you call them, they usually negotiate or work out a deal if you get some special offer from some company. We always work with people. We negotiate with people if it's something that's needed. But this scope is astonishing, and I will tell you why. This is absolutely hands down the biggest selling refractor I've ever seen. Is the Essential 80. And if you don't believe it, go to astrobin.com and look at the amount of images that are taken with this telescope. It's a very inexpensive, lightweight. I think it's 6 pounds, 7 pounds. You don't need a lot to mount it, and the images that you can get through it are astonishing for a very low cost. This people didn't understand. Back in my day when I started, I was starting in the early 90s. All the companies that you had to work with were like, there was Nikon was just getting out of the game. There was Takahashi, which is just astronomically expensive.
Yeah.
And then you had Astrophysics, which unless you want to wait until you grow a beard to get one.
Right.
That's what you had to work with. There wasn't a whole lot. I mean, Celestron had a fluoride. There just wasn't they had a selection, but not like they have today. You would have had to lay out like several $1,000s to get what you can get today for just several $100. So it's astonishing what you can do. So. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out.
Well, and at the end of the day, it's like, I mean, I didn't start out with this kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, you got to jump in the game and work your way and see what you like. I mean, you can
get binoculars, by the way.
Some people love to just view. Some people love to shoot images. Some people love to chase asteroids.
I was like telling people, you can just get into viewing. Viewing is just, and Farrah and I always have these conflicts. I love Farrah. She's a wonderful person. you know, she's been wanting me to image like crazy, and I've always been, I'm like, get Simon to image, get these guys, get you to image, because to me, and don't get me wrong, this is so wonderful that we have this technology, and I love what you're doing with it, and I'm cool with it. It's great. We need it. It's important. It drives the industry, but my connection is a very intimate one, and it's very sacred to me because I do have a very deep connection with the cosmos. I love Carl Sagan. I love Robert Burnham Jr. Robert Burnham Jr. was a huge influence on my life. And that Burnham's Celestial Handbook, do we have an image of it? Can we pop it up, or is it? Can we not do it on the?
No,
on the
absolutely,
Here.
absolutely. Let me.
I don't know if we can do it.
Let me
There's
find
the
something.
image of the 3 volumes right there. This is Burnham's Celestial Handbook. I don't know if you can
See?
pan in on the.
Hang on a second. Let me just.
There you go. So if people want to know what inspired me, these 3 volumes of books. To this very day, I read. You know, I've been reading them since 1990s. I still have the same volumes. And the thing I admired so much about Robert Burnham Jr. was he was at Lowell Observatory. He was using the same telescope that Clyde Tombaugh used to discover Pluto. And so anyway, Burnham's Celestial Handbooks. Oh yeah, you got your volumes right there.
Well, I got multiple volumes. I have hardback.
Yeah.
And then I have my spiral bound.
I
that
know,
I use
man. You
over there.
spiral bound them. I'm
Well,
proud of you.
Grab that. You can show people on the camera there if you want.
Yeah, but these books, man, I'm telling you, they're old. It is a timeless
Oh,
classic.
we lost that camera again, Brandon. Can you?
It's on there. I don't know if it's on.
It's the battery saver.
Here, let me
Okay.
put it up here. And
But
then-
we're
you
still
can
on,
show it
right?
right there. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, here it is. So
spiral
what
bound
you
that,
did
you
is
know?
you spiral bound the books, you know, and
Yeah.
they stay open at night. But you know,
Thanks,
here
buddy.
when people buy a computer, here's the thing.
You just have to disable it. That's all.
Okay, cool. Hey, the thing is though, is what people don't understand is that when you buy a computerized telescope, you have an awesome amount of power at your disposal because you have a telescope that has all this database, a huge database. But the biggest problem, and it's funny, is that when I sell a telescope, are we okay? We're on?
Yeah, we're on. We're going. Can you try it one more time, Brandon? Because it didn't come back. No, it's okay. But go ahead and keep talking. Don't worry about us.
I was
We're
gonna
live
say,
here,
probably in
people.
the future you
We're
can plug
live.
that- Things
Things happen. You know.
You
This
know,
is
it's a
this is
settings
streaming.
thing.
It's a setting thing on our camera.
Man,
that we
you
need
better
to
make
adjust.
it work,
We gotta make
man.
that work, man. We got problems there.
Yeah. But you know, the thing is, you have a lot of power at your
There it goes.
disposal.
It's back now. Thank
Oh,
you.
Cool.
I know why.
What's up?
Battery's dead. I put the new battery in.
Okay, cool.
He's got a new battery. Go ahead. Keep
You know, this
talking.
is why I don't image.
I mean,
Because of things
I'm
like
running,
this.
I'm running a television
I
studio
know,
at the
man.
same time I'm doing this.
It's crazy. You gotta be like what's this, you know, like Inspector Gadget
I know, man.
to
It's
run a
it's
system.
crazy.
Man,
I
you
know.
got so much going on in here.
The battery dead.
It's it should be charging
And you can
Oh,
ask
right
Kurt,
here.
on the wall there. Yeah.
Kurt will tell you, I just can't. I'm crazy with when it comes to computers. I'm
No,
just
I
like,
already know.
Get
I mean,
away
you and I
from
have
me.
talked a lot.
It's like for me, it's like the disconnect, and I can just hear Farrah in the back of her head going, "You better adapt to it. You know, you better adapt to the 21st." 'Cause
Right.
Now we're in the 21st century.
Exactly right.
You know, you better adapt to it. Yeah, it's funny. It's an endless thing. But to me, astronomy is a very intimate connection, and it is, and it's very serious to me. People don't realize how special it is to me. But it is where you sit, and you literally you are like in a lawn, you know, in a chair, or you're in a desert looking at the dark sky, and you're just gazing at the way a human being sees nature, and that is through your own eye. The way it is perceived to you is your own personal experience, you know. And cameras are another thing. You know?
Well, my theory is that if you can't appreciate it, then you're never going to appreciate it when you're, because the fact is, it's going to be it is challenging technically when you're dealing with I mean, you know, probably 90% of your calls are computer technical related stuff.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes, yeah,
if
it
you
is.
don't have a connection with what you're trying to image or the night sky from that level, it's going to be hard to want to keep going. You know, it's great.
It is.
You know what? Scoot it. Is it panned back all the way though? The lens feels like it's zoomed in a little bit.
We'll get that going.
There you go.
Right. Oh yeah, there you go.
And
Look at that
zoom it in just
This
a,
computer, like where I'm pointing it around the corner here, this thing's spinning.
There you go, buddy.
It's just,
Just point it over just that way, just a little bit.
It
There
looks
you go.
like something
Perfect.
a mad scientist.
Perfect, buddy. Thanks, buddy.
Something a mad scientist created.
My son is he's our technical director back here,
Yeah.
making things happen. So we're
That's
live,
cool.
man. What
We're
can we say?
live,
This
ladies
is a
and
live
gentlemen.
stream.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here.
This is
today.
a live stream. Things happen. What do you do? So,
But the thing is, though, is technology. It's great that we have it, and we need it. It drives the industry. We need all this imaging gear. It keeps it flowing. And then there's another aspect of it where you look visually.
Yeah.
And you appreciate it. And you've done this, you know, because
yeah.
you've been there. And but there are sometimes people get so lost in this stuff that they don't think about that anymore. Or maybe they never thought about it at all, or maybe they don't care. Yeah. Maybe they just want to see a colorful picture, and a lot of people do. I mean, let's face it, we are in heavily light polluted skies now. It's getting worse.
Oh, no.
LED lights are taking over. There are people that are trying to fight this, you know. Light pollution maps, and it's becoming more difficult to do it. And you know what? It'll probably drive us into space to do our own, you know, amateur space telescopes. Who knows?
Yeah, I can't argue with the images I can get from my backyard, because I'm pretty far out of the city, but there's still quite a bit of pollution around. So
well, you know, here's the thing. People like to, you know, I always talk about the market. You know, and what is going on with astronomy and what drives it? Why is it that people look at Kim Kardashian? Everybody's into Kim Kardashian, or they're into all this stuff. I wouldn't say everybody. It caters to a very young audience, but it is fascinating what people gravitate to. But science, I think, takes a back seat. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson is kind of like the rock star of astronomy, who's kind of helping to carry astronomy to the public.
Yeah.
The important thing, though, in my opinion, though, is that people, particularly these people that are astrophysicists, I mean, bless their hearts, but God, I'm sorry, and I'm not going to apologize for it, they have no social skills whatsoever. It's like talking to a wall sometimes. These people, they have no connection or interaction with ordinary people, and they don't know how to relate.
Right.
And it's weird. It's kind of like there's no I don't know how to put it. But that's what causes it. I think there's just a lot of people that are like that do this industry, who don't interact with ordinary people. And not only that, they don't know how to... This is why I love Robert Burnham Jr. so much, is that he had a brilliant talent. I mean, beyond measure, man. It is immeasurable what this guy did. This guy was a poet, but he had a profound understanding, a visual understanding of the universe, and that is a powerful thing.
Yeah.
And what we did is I brought some images here for Mike to post up here, and we can do, Tycho, look at that wide angle image of the moon right there. No, on the left,
this
right
one.
there. Click on that. Can we bring that up? Is that up?
Mm-hmm. That's up.
Okay, this is an impact crater on the moon. You know, it's a few hundred miles wide, right? So to appreciate, 'cause a lot of people, there's this thing and people ask, like, the top 10 questions. Can you see the flagpole on the moon? And it's understandable, though, for an ordinary person to ask that question. So what I did is I brought this here to help you appreciate the scale of how big things are that we take for granted. When you look through a telescope at the moon, this is about what you would see, okay? So on the second image, we have a close-up on the top right.
This one right here?
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Now, this is the center of the crater. This is what you see here is called a rebound effect. And a lot of craters have this. This is where all this material gets, rises at the center. And to appreciate how large this rebound is, click on the image just left of it there. Okay, there you go. Okay, now put your cursor over that shadow. That is a model of the Empire State Building in the center of it. So think to yourself, now that you have a frame of reference, think to yourself, do you think you're honestly going to see the flagpole if you can barely see the Empire State Building, which is like 1,250, 1,300 feet tall?
No way.
The top of the spire? I don't know. So you now have a frame of reference to appreciate it. This is what Burnham was like. He always used mental, scale models and things. I'm going to show you another one. You can go out if you have a clear night. And by the way, I think you mentioned this too. We have like the craziest winter.
Oh, it's great.
It's like the craziest winter I can remember.
Last 2 weeks have been. I can't complain. I mean, we need it badly. It's awesome.
It is.
But it's not awesome when you're trying to capture images.
But go to the constellation of Orion. It says unnamed.
This one right here?
No. The big
right here.
There you go. So this is a picture now. The stars look saturated. This in the center. Can you put the cursor over the belt? Okay, those are the belt of Orion.
Oh yeah, sorry about it.
I want to talk about this for a moment, okay? Because this constellation is one of the most well-known constellations that we can see. Orion's belt is just on the celestial equator, okay, near it. So it's visible pretty much for everybody almost. And so when you look at it, you see these stars with your naked eye. This is about what you would see with your naked eye. You can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that fuzzy patch that you see down here, and the reason I'm doing this is because I want people watching this to understand the scales that what you're dealing with here. And it's so amazing. So when you scroll on Orion's nebula, go to that image that says 0042 on it.
Right here.
Yeah, right there. Okay, that patch of light that you saw is here, okay, close up. This is what you see in a camera. Even in a telescope, you will see this, but not in this color, and it will look more, it will look more transparent.
This has been processed.
This has obviously been processed and stuff.
Yeah.
So you see all these colors. We can go into that in another. But what you see here is a zoom in of the trapezium. And typically when an amateur telescope is pointed at the Orion complex, and this, we'll talk about light speed and distances. I'll try to make that understandable. But when you look at the trapezium and you see those 4 stars, there's more stars to see, which is an exciting challenge. But you see those 4 stars at the trapezium. There's another image I'm going to show you, is image 3262. I want you to center in on this image. And can you enlarge it more or no? It's okay if you can't. Don't worry about it,
Right
actually.
here.
Okay, leave it there.
Yeah.
That is the trapezium. I don't know if people can see. Put the cursor over the trapezium up
Right here, these big bright stars right here.
Correct. Okay, so that is the trapezium in Orion. Those are the 4 stars that look like little spots, and when you look at it through an amateur telescope. I think I sent you a picture of what it would look like, but we didn't load it. That's okay. Don't worry about it. We can discuss this. Okay, on the bottom left, you'll see that arrow. That object that you see is a protoplanetary disk that was shot from the Hubble Space Telescope. And astronomers knew about this stuff, but they'd never seen proof of it. I actually have old books that showed illustrations of it, what scientists thought they would look like. And for the first time ever, the Hubble Space Telescope imaged them. And it was so amazing. It had such an amazing impact on me. That object that you see, that disk, is 200 astronomical units. And since most people looking at this probably don't even know what an astronomical unit is, let's just explain it. 1 astronomical unit is the distance between the Earth and the Sun.
93 million miles.
Roughly 93 million, or 8 light minutes away is the distance from Earth to the Sun. So it takes light 8 minutes to reach your eye, roughly, over 8 minutes to reach your eye. This is 200 astronomical units. So that means you could stretch the Earth and Sun distances 200 times between this. Now the Voyager spacecraft, just put this in perspective, the Voyager spacecraft has traveled approximately 120 astronomical units or something like that. So imagine in your mind, if you want to know how long it's going to take Voyager to get to the nearest star, you're looking at like 79, 80,000 years to get to the nearest star. But this here, the Voyager has only traversed about 2/3 of the distance of the diameter of that one little spot.
Yep.
So imagine you're in your mind that the Voyager spacecraft has only traveled inside that tiny speck that you see. So how are you?
So now think about the size of these, the trapezium.
The trapezium. Look at these stars.
The size of this compared to
right.
here.
Now I have to want to explain something because this is very important. The question you should be asking yourself is, why do those stars look bigger than the disk does? This is where imaging has to be explained in some way. When you look through a telescope, or you image through a telescope, or even the Hubble Space Telescope, you look at stars. They are not resolved into disks. You do not see the diameter of a star, or all you see is the light emanating from stars. That is it. You cannot resolve the disk. There's only a few stars where they've been able to resolve the disk, and they're developing technology that does this now. And that's a whole nother subject in itself. And the reason it looks big like that and saturated and colorful like that is because the camera does that.
Yeah.
And so it
can't
saturates
resolve it.
everything, but it cannot resolve it. And these stars are really powerful stars, and they're shining like hundreds of thousands of times brighter than the sun.
And this is just that
Yeah.
little thing where this is just one little speck in the sky.
That tiny
Right here.
Yeah. And Burnham, what was so cool about Burnham and what he was explaining is if you take the entire galaxy, now we're part of the Milky Way galaxy. We reside in the inner spiral arm called the Orion arm of the galaxy. And the Milky Way galaxy is a barred spiral galaxy. I don't think I sent you an image to show it, but we are inside of it. It's approximately 100. They don't really know, but they think it's about 100,000 light years in diameter. So Burnham was explaining that if you take the entire Milky Way galaxy and you shrink it down to the size of the United States, okay, our entire solar system would reside in like a coffee mug in the Grand Canyon in Arizona.
Yep.
And the Orion Nebula that you see in this photograph would occupy about 20 miles of the coastline.
Yep.
Isn't that cool? Try to imagine that. But you know, when you talk to astronomers, they don't explain that. You know, when you drive, you know, this is funny, and I think about these stupid little things but that we take for granted. When you get up in the morning, you drive your car, you see stoplights, you see stop signs, you see other people driving in cars. And we take that stuff for granted. So, you know, when you look at the distance, it's a quarter mile to, you know, a stop sign or you know, a stoplight or whatever, or to a boulevard. Mm-hmm. You start to realize, God, how far these things are. Imagine our whole, you know, solar system in a coffee mug, you know, in the middle of the Grand Canyon. And then the other thing is that you have to think about how fast light travels. And light travels at about 670 million miles per hour. That's how fast, roughly, how fast it travels. A lot of people say 186,000 miles a second.
Yeah.
So imagine you travel from Earth to the moon. It's about a second and a half. You get to Jupiter's, I don't know, 45 minutes. To get to Saturn is like an hour and a half. To get to Pluto is about over 5 hours, okay, to get to Pluto. And to get to the nearest star, you're looking at for 4.5 years for light to travel to the nearest star. And there's billions of stars. They don't even know how many stars, but there's, you know, a couple 100 billion stars, you know, a few 100 billion stars in our own galaxy alone. And there are billions of galaxies. So it's a pretty amazing thing. And then here's another crazy thing that bends my brain, you know. When you look at something the size of a grain of salt, okay, something like the size of an ant or a grain of salt, the microbial world from a relative point of view is actually a larger universe than the known universe that we see around us. That means that if you could take the most powerful, you know, microscope, which isn't enough that exists today, you know, to do it, you could zoom in on an atom and go deeper and deeper and deeper into a larger universe than what we know that is around us. That to me is just incredible. You know that we, you know what I mean?
He's passionate, people. You see, he starts spouting.
Hey,
off
you
the
want
stuff,
me to
man.
come
He's
here and
excited,
talk?
man.
This is what to me, this is
It's
like
awesome.
You're part of the universe that you sit and you contemplate you know, from your perspective in it, where you sit in it. That to me is important.
Well, and that's why
So-
if you get foundation on that,
Yeah,
then
get some foundation.
Then when
people.
when the technology makes you crazy, you realize
So it's
how
hard.
tiny it is.
So it is hard for somebody like me, you know, that comes in the store. Okay, I just want to take pictures. I want
Right.
to take a loud, colorful picture. You know, but, you know, to me, the most subtle thing is profound. You know, even a star or subtle, you know, that's why, you know, even black and white pictures blow me away. And I always said if I do imaging, it's going to be black and white. I don't care about colors. But people love them, and thank goodness we have people that love them. And it helps keep business going, you know, and it's a great thing.
Well, it's and look, if you know, my advice to people is that if you want to take colorful, beautiful photographs that you see, you're going to have to put in the work, because the fact is, even if you look at some of those guys, these world-class imagers, if you look at their
Adam
early
Block,
stuff,
Rogelio Bernal.
if you look at those
Google
guys,
Rogelio Bernal,
yeah,
man.
look at their
Oh
early
my
stuff.
God.
It ain't probably half as
Yeah.
good as it is now. Why? Because
Technology.
but they also learned what worked. They put in the time. It's, you know, people go, I want to just hook up and take a great shot. It's like, well, that doesn't
there's work.
happen. You know, there's
Yeah.
a lot of work involved. So,
That's why I told
you know,
people, get the Star Adventure, or I'm trying to make the Sky Tracker too, that you can just put an existing camera on, and you can spend, you know, just a few $100 to decide, hey, do I want to pursue this? Do I want to sit here and process all this stuff?
Yeah.
Do I want to process pictures? You know, and people get it and they collect tons of data, but they don't process their work. And then they realize, God, it's more than I thought. In some people, I've been in this industry 25 years. I have seen every walk of life. I have seen people come. I've seen them go. I've seen people that have disappeared for, you know, 7 or 8 years, and they come back. Even you did.
I did. I disappeared.
You ought
I
to be
came back.
ashamed of yourself.
I know.
How dare you?
It's horrible.
But Mike was gone for a long period of time. When I remember going to his house when he first had a telescope, and I went over. I have done like hundreds of house calls. People don't realize, on my own time, man, because I really genuinely do appreciate when somebody shares a genuine enthusiasm with the universe. I'm happy to share it. But I tell you that, you know, I hate the business. There's a part of me that hates business. And I hate that, you know, people like, oh, you know, especially the people in forums. It really ticks me off. And I'm going to, if you don't mind me venting, can I vent out a little bit?
No, but before you vent out real quick, though, I'm just going to tell people, hey, man, you know, go ahead. We got some chat, the chat going on YouTube. Chat. Well, we got chat. There's,
what was the other side we were using?
We got Lahosky here, 14, says hello. How are you, sir?
Okay. Well, we'll
you know, but anybody have any questions? Feel free to poke in the chat. We got Daniel Mounsey here from telescopes.net, man, from Woodland Hills Camera and Telescope. He's the resident expert here with Asteroid Hunters, and we're talking all kinds of stuff. We're just talking astronomy. We're talking asteroids.
But
we're talking stuff, you know. And
I want to tell truth, be real here, okay? I post on cloudynights.com. Cloudynights.com is hands down the biggest astronomy website in the world. It has 1 million followers, okay, right now. But I absolutely hate when people tell me, "Oh, your business attitude." Look at my ratings on Cloudy Nights. And I am very passionate about the things I do. I do not, you know, when people come like, you have an interest in what you're doing. You know what? You don't know me then if you think that. That my attitude is that I'm just here trying to sell you something. Yes, I do try to sell things or, you know, to get people involved. But when people accuse me of like having this business attitude, like you're just trying to sell yourself or sell your stuff, that's offensive to me.
Well, and I'll say this too, just about you, because I've known you so long, but I'll just say this. Daniel will be the first one to... I'll just tell you people. He'll be the first one to talk me out of something. Yeah. Like sometimes I'll call him and be like, hey, I saw this and that. And he'll be like, you don't need to spend that money.
I don't cultivate. I cultivate people.
Don't do that.
I have a following of people because I tell them what I don't like and I dislike.
He does.
And I'm pretty brutal about it.
It's true.
I'm not going to sit here and be like, I'm Mr. Carpet Sales Guy and then tell you, you know, to make, you know, you buy something. That's a short-lived story, man. You can't survive in this day and age.
Yeah, somebody wrote
that way.
I don't know if you talk about this, but do you think government should take alien invasion seriously? Please discuss. That's a whole nother topic, buddy. But
hey, here's another thing.
We have talked about it.
Why would the government be the only why would the government? You know, here's another thing people don't understand. Amateurs like ourselves have made many discoveries.
Oh yeah.
The discoveries are not the freaking government. They're the amateur astronomers that are like us that are out there, you know, under the stars trying to, you know, find things. Look at the discoveries of comets and look at, you know, variable stars and stuff. The professionals, they have to pay, you know, they have to get extensive time, you know, a limited amount of time on an observatory scope. It costs lots of money. So amateurs contribute a lot. So I don't know. Here's the thing I don't understand. Why people think the government knows everything. You'd probably be astonished what the government doesn't know.
Right.
And that what amateurs actually know. And the things that they're finding out. It's like, I can't even tell you how many colleges I've been to where I've done presentations. I have been to countless colleges. I have met with board members. I've been doing it for a long time. These people, I'm not trying to be rude, but they just need some help. They don't know a lot of this stuff that you are doing here. They wouldn't understand this. It takes a lot of work to try and set up you know, something like this. I can't imagine what you've.
Well, we've talked about.
Do you need a psychiatrist?
I know, right? I love.
Yeah,
we've talked about stuff.
He needs a psychiatrist for crying out loud.
Lahosky, I'm sorry if I screw up your name here. I'll just say, you know, we've had conversations. There's channels on YouTube I love following, but that's, you know, we've all seen some stuff. We have, but you know, I don't know. That's a whole nother topic, man. But but I appreciate the question, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I don't know. Here's the thing. Here, I'll tell you what. I have been viewing the sky for 25 years. I am not opposed to the question of is there, you know, is there life or intelligent life? I'll let you be the judge of intelligence, though. You know, or we are the only intelligent life. But I've seen a couple of things that I thought were kind of weird.
Sure.
I'll share two instances, which I can't really explain. I don't know what it is. But I've never seen anything that I felt was out of place. Most of the things, there's hardly a time when you look through the eyepiece of a telescope that you do not see a satellite. You will always see satellites. There's never a time when you look through the eyepiece and you don't see a satellite. Hardly ever. So there's always something up there. You can call it a UFO, but it doesn't. I didn't say anything about little green men, did I? I don't know. Right. But we don't know. I don't know. Maybe we have been visited. Who's to know? I mean, we've only been here a very short period of time, you know, humankind. And if you look at the age of the universe and how old it is, and who knows? I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
right.
We don't really know. I couldn't say there's no intelligent life. I mean, look at the amount of stars there are. Are we the only ones here? And people always ask that question. It's the top question.
Oh, of course.
Human beings want to know. I wish Carl Sagan could live. All of us could live long enough to find out. We'll never. Who knows? We may not know in our time.
The point is,
Right.
get a telescope and go see for yourself. And
Sit down and contemplate. Get binoculars if you want.
We want you to contemplate the night sky.
Yeah,
it's a
you
great
can get
thing,
a pair
great
of binoculars
thing.
for $30 and look at the sky.
Hey, I want to show you this real quick here. I'm on the right thing. You were talking about Voyager, and you'd asked me about this website from NASA, that the Deep Space Network. So this is really cool. I put this on the channel for when we're starting the channel. These are their radio telescope arrays around the world. Right now, it's the data is not available, which is really rare. Usually, it's always active. But basically, these are how NASA talks to all of their spacecraft.
That is cool.
Around the solar system. So, and once in a while,
So cool.
like you'll be sitting here and you'll see stuff coming in. You'll look up and it'll say VGR, which means Voyager. Like the Voyagers are still talking, and you can click on it, and it gives you some data, and it shows you a picture of the spacecraft. But there's one in Madrid, Spain. This is a whole array. There's one in Australia, but there's one right here, man, over by Barstow, the Goldstone unit, and this number 14 is like one of the largest.
Sorry, how
around,
big? There's Arecibo, which is
Arecibo, which is where's that, down in South America-ish.
Right.
But this is all part of the little NASA's their array. But this is one of the largest around as well. But what's neat is literally this is like local to us. It's just up the road here. It's not far, Barstow, California. But this is a neat little website. This little NASA one. I go on this all the time just to see, what spacecrafts are talking, and you can see this stuff. I just love this.
I
little website.
remember
It's
when
pretty cool.
Carl Sagan was talking about radio telescopes, and he said that the data that they pick up is as sensitive as a snowflake.
Yeah.
He used
Yeah,
that
yeah, it's
analogy
neat,
where
right?
he's like, I mean, this is the kind of stuff that they're trying to pick up. It's that little of information, with these powerful.
I want to,
arrays.
let me show. You were asking me some questions about some of the websites that I have going on here.
Yeah,
share
them if
I'll
you
just
wish.
share
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
when I'm, taking pictures to try to chase. Let me see if I can find this one asteroid again here. Basically these 1 minute images that I've taken that I'm blinking through, and I think it's somewhere over here. Where is that thing? Oh, it's right here. It's right down here. There it is, right there, moving. I'm circling it with my. So that was what I captured last night, moving around. But basically what happens is that I'll take this image, and when I put it into a piece of software, it to figure out what that asteroid is or to measure it, I need to know where my coordinates are in the night sky. And normally what I do is I'll either write down, from the actual telescope, when I control it, I can have that information. But if I don't have that information, I can go to this website called astrometry.net.
That's cool.
This is a really cool website. So what you can do is you just take a picture, and you can So I'll let Steven do it here. So if I just I shot some. Let me select a file here. So here's some images that I took last night. Let me just go. I'll just grab this one. This is one of. These are all 1 minute subs. So I took one. I'm gonna upload it, and I'll just send it to him. And what it's going to do is it's going to basically do a plate solve where it's going to tell me, hey, this is the coordinates of where this shot is taken. And then I can enter that into my Astrometrica software, that information, and I can plate solve and figure out where the asteroids are much quicker than I would normally. So right now it's uploading, so it takes a second here. 80%, 85. So it doesn't take long, man. This thing will convert over really cool.
Hey, Dad, is YouTube chat working too for you?
Yeah, I'm showing. Yeah.
What was the other site we were using though? Called.
Well, we have Twitch. So this is the Twitch
Right, there was
chat
Twitch.
here.
There was the other one.
This is YouTube. So
No,
anybody.
but there was another one before. Sorry.
I don't know. Was there another
Yeah.
one? Do we have
I
another
signed
one?
up.
I have
to
so
it.
much stuff
There was
going
two
on.
sites I was.
Oh,
trying
the
to sign up.
Discord.
Discord.
Brandon's
We're
looking
the
at
ones that were
Brandon's
constantly
looking
chiming
at the
in.
Discord too right now, right?
Oh, it is. Is
You're
it on
monitoring
Discord
that,
or no?
Brand?
I'm watching that.
He's watching
Cool.
that, so he'll let us know if there's anything. But also, by the way, there should be. There's a link in the chat for the Discord. Please feel free to join the Discord, because here's the thing, guys. once we're done streaming,
Yeah.
if anybody has any questions or comments, go to the Discord, join it, and then you can ask that 24 hours a day, and I'll see that, and I can relay to Daniel, or I can answer the questions.
I got a headache.
Those
Does
kind of
Brandon have
thing.
any Advil?
You
I
have
do
it?
a little bit.
Brandon, can you get some Advil for me? He'll go.
The doctor needs a doctor.
Doctor needs a doctor. So we go to results page. Look at, it's already telling me it's job stats. It's queuing right now.
Yeah.
It's showing the image that I just uploaded.
That's cool.
It takes a second here.
It amazes me though how quickly you got all this.
Oh, I know.
But you know, you're pretty tech savvy though. You are.
I am.
I mean, come on, you built your own computers.
But
so
here's
you
the
gotta be
thing.
tech
It's
savvy
all
to do
about
that
doing
kind
the
of stuff.
research. Like you have to do the research. Oh, there it is. Job success. So it says success. Boom. Look at. So there, it tells me what that star is, and it gives me the actual, ascension declination. So I can put that data in to, this Astrometrica software that I have, and basically plate solve. These are all what you're looking at is all the known asteroids in this one image.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
But in order for that database to tell me what's what, it's got to know where it's at, So, but this piece of software is really cool because so you got a picture and you're like, I don't know where this is at, and I want to know. You just upload it to this novaastronomy.net, and it'll just tell you. It's going to tell you what's what at any given time. It gives you your orientation of where my camera is. Tells my pixel scale. Look at that. I mean, this is all useful stuff for imaging.
This is the kind of stuff that when you're imaging, it comes about.
I mean, it's really
Whereas
important.
somebody like me, I'm using Sky Safari.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of people use Stellarium because it's a free download.
Well, I use Stellarium
Stellarium's
to
a cool
control
program.
my scope.
Yeah.
So what? And for me, I'll do a polar alignment.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to put in coordinates of where this data is. Basically, I print out a sheet of what asteroid I'm going to search for, and there's data in here, and I'll want to put that in. So I want to make sure that stuff is set, correctly. Yeah. So I put that in, but I use Stellarium to control the scope, to put it in, and it does all the work for me in there, and it really works really well.
That's really cool. It takes time to get used to all these different programs that you use, and people use different softwares. I mean, there's processing software. People use Photoshop, PixInsight.
There's so many, and a lot of them work really well. Some of them don't work great. I mean, and again, I don't favor anything. What I do like to do though is find what software has kind of the most YouTube videos that I can, instructional videos that I can learn. I mean, the fact is, I learned all this from the internet. I don't have anybody telling me how to use Astrometrica here locally. It's like I had to go to the internet to learn how to do all this. And
if you think I'm going to sit here and try to do this with him, forget it. I'm like,
he won't do that.
I'm going to be outside sitting looking through a telescope with my own eye.
Exactly. He's not that guy,
So don't try to make me something I'm not, man. I take that real personal. It's fair. It's so funny. It just always brings me back to Farrah. It's just like, she just so wants me to get on this tech bandwagon.
And I know you long enough to laugh at that comment. Like, come on, Farrah. We all know. We all know better.
My phone shuts down on the weekend, man.
Exactly.
Shut it
He's the only guy who can shut it down. God bless him.
I got to shut. Yeah,
that's for sure.
I'll get through it. It's all right.
But the fact is, it's what I like to do. But that's just one aspect. There's so many things to do in astronomy. I mean,
you did some
there's guys on YouTube that I was telling you the other day that literally point at the moon, and they have tens of thousands of followers, and they'll just show a live shot of the moon.
Yeah, there was a guy doing it with the pup. It's the Dog Star series.
Yeah.
There's the little pup, which is currently on its outermost orbit, and so you can see it.
And there's guys doing stuff with
just
doing
really
it live. Small telescopes,
small
6-inch telescopes and stuff that don't cost much of anything.
Yeah, you don't have to spend an arm and a leg to do it.
This is elaborate. You don't have to do that.
But the funny thing that's so interesting when people come in, they are overwhelmed. Go to Amazon, go to whatever online, you look up telescopes, and they're like, gosh, I don't even know what I don't know. I'm overwhelmed. To me, it's super simple.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal, folks. All these telescopes come from China, most of them, overseas from a few factories. Literally. They are labeled and decorated and dressed up under different logos and names and marketed to companies like, and we sell them, you know, they have computer technology. They have ones without computer technology. Some people want it, some people don't.
Yep.
Depends on your scenario. You might not even need a. But you know, there was one of the funny things that cracks me up is some guy that came in. He's like, you know, I want to trade. This is from a school, by the way. We're talking about a school that gets funded to, you know, and they come in and like, we think we need to trade in our scopes for ones that have GPS. Now, if I were to be a really cold-hearted salesman, I'd say, yo, yeah, you got to have a GPS. You got it.
Right. Oh, of course.
Now think about it, what the ancients were doing in antiquity.
Oh, I know. Yeah,
And
man.
here you
Yeah.
are, you think you can't
I
do
know.
astronomy because you don't have a GPS? Come on, people. Get a...
And,
you know, it's like,
I'm more fascinated at
I
that
will be
kind
the
of stuff
first to
than
admit
anything
that
else.
I do use my Google Map thing
Sure.
for my phone, but those things do make you stupid.
Oh, yeah.
And you don't know where anything is.
Yeah.
You know, but you know, star hopping the sky can be like, well, we are running into fewer stars because of light pollution. But,
No. But I mean,
there are
that's
remote places you can
when you
go.
start studying the history of
Yeah.
things, guys that started making discoveries,
Yeah.
you come to find that some of those discoveries were seen thousands of years before that.
Before that.
And
I mean,
it's like
people
they
were
didn't even have-
navigating
they're
the
looking-
ancient
they're
stars
just
and have none
with their
1
eye.
million what we have today.
Yeah, and,
know,
and
you know-
getting it right.
Yeah, I
Like,
think it's sad
accurate.
though when people come in and they think they need a GPS with their telephone. Like, Jesus, man.
That reminds me.
Where do
did
I
you bring my
begin?
GPS that you're supposed to bring me?
I did.
I need a GPS, people. I'm sorry.
I didn't bring no GPS. Go figure it out yourself. Navigate the stars.
Exactly.
But that to me is astonishing that a member of a school who is funded, you know, they have that kind of money at their disposal. At their disposal, and they think they need a scope with a GPS in it. That just is amazing. I personally, you know, I mean, you can have GPS, but you know, you don't need it. It doesn't make the scope more accurate. All it does is tell the telescope where it is on Earth, so it knows what stars should be where.
Well, I've been
you still got to align them
doing
yourself.
this and capture. I mean, I captured these images last night that you saw, and I didn't have.
you're using the
I didn't have a
GPS.
GPS.
This fool,
I didn't even have
you want to
GPS.
be ashamed of yourself getting a GPS.
It's only because. Oh, I just bumped the mic. Sorry. It's only because I'm lazy. Because I told my son.
You have to be
I
here.
just want to turn it on.
And it's cold.
And have it be like, give me the stuff, and I don't have to enter it. Like, I'm lazy. That's all that is.
Well,
I'm
give
gonna
you a
admit to
pass.
it.
I'll give you a pass this time because look at this operation here. It looks like NASA.
It's
you know,
pretty. I
Flight
know.
Center.
It's, what can I say?
Yeah.
This is-
So you know
oh, that camera's down
So
again.
you
Brandon.
know you're gonna have to stay at your desk here and let the scope do all the work for you, and you can do it. Put on the Eagle. Show people the Eagle real quick on our website. I've got my carpet salesman hat on now, right?
Is it gonna come up here? Let's see.
Eagle Prima Luz Lab. There it is. If you scroll down to Prima Luz Lab.
Oh, did it turn off again?
Yeah,
There
turn
it
on.
is.
One of these guys.
Yeah, there you go. So this, you know, system. And if you have questions about it, call Simon. Don't ask for me. I'm going to tell you right now. Anytime somebody calls and they ask for Simon, I immediately don't want to talk.
Hey, real
Because-
quick, I'm going to put another plug in. You guys, hey, we're checking out telescopes.net, man. If you like anything, order it. Put Asteroid Hunter in the promo code, and you're going to get
Yeah.
a discount on your order. So go ahead. Sorry, I want to plug that in.
No,
there.
that's cool.
All right, it's back up.
But
Thank you,
okay,
sir.
thanks. But I was going to say this device has become super popular now. What it does is it works like a hub. It's a computer system that you attach everything to. They have cables for every camera you're going to use, whatever mount you're going to use, all gets put into this computer device, gets plugged into it to control your telescope.
Yeah.
And you can do it without a laptop. This whole thing is divine.
You don't need it,
use
though.
a tablet.
People don't need it. I mean, that's
Yeah.
a hefty price
We're
for
getting to
somebody,
the,
but we're getting.
I know.
This
Well,
is serious.
They have the there's different models of it. They're
Sure,
sure,
sure.
expensive. This one has a lot. Has more memory.
And I can tell you, there's a lot of YouTube support for this item too. There's a number of videos online, people using
About
this about it. So
Yeah.
so that's the other nice thing. I mean, people. I
People
won't,
love technology.
I got to tell
All you
you,
technology
a lot of
geeks
the
like it.
answers are there on the internet for you guys. You don't even have to. I mean, look, you can call Daniel, but
Yeah.
you don't always have to. I don't call Daniel for. Have I asked you any of these questions?
Yes, you
about
have.
stuff?
You bug me.
No,
and-
not
nowadays
about
this is
this.
out of my department.
Yeah.
You can tell Simon to deal with
No,
this.
no, I haven't asked him no questions about the asteroid stuff because I
Yeah.
know he's like no, but I
No,
find
but
it on the
asteroids
internet.
is cool
you know?
though. I am really amazed that you're doing that, and I think it's just wonderful. This is technology being put at its finest for me. You know,
love
I
it.
just love it. Yeah, I love the idea that you're not being overwhelmed. You know, thrown back by these colors. You know,
Yeah.
colors are what stimulates people's retinas. You know, they just want to see. you know, it's
Well,
understandable.
and I think
it's
even
understandable.
you guys did an awesome ZWO video recently, and even
Yeah, it was about
Simon
an hour
said
long,
that.
Simon did.
Simon was saying, "Oh, thanks, Christopher, for the follow, really, or subscribe. Thank you, Christopher, appreciate it. Got a new subscribe there. But he was saying literally like you know, he likes to sell color cameras to people right off the bat because they take a photo and they want to see.
Yeah, they want to see.
If they don't see and it's understandable. You know,
is understandable.
For me, I'm chasing
Ordinary
asteroids, so it's kind of like, look, give me a black and white. I don't need color. I want black and white.
Look
you
at
know
the
what I
Hubble
mean?
heritage.
So-
Look, there's no question the Hubble Space Telescope is the most prolific telescope. I mean, look at the images shot with that.
Yeah.
It's astonishing what's been shot with the Hubble Space Telescope. And you show those pictures of the Eagle Nebula. I think Burnham's favorite object was the Eagle Nebula. He called it the Star Queen Nebula. And and it is a very unusual object when you look at it. Those pillars in the center and the spire that comes from, there's this jagged tear that comes from the top of dark nebulosity. It is amazing, and the scales are pretty amazing too.
Hey, what do you want to?
yeah.
I don't know. I just want to.
So it's understandable. People want colors.
Do you want to talk a little bit about
The scopes?
the scopes, 8-inch?
Oh man,
like,
you're never gonna hear me.
You want to? I know he'll never stop.
You never
here,
hear
but-
me. You know.
Well, one thing, you know, we
Into me.
we got the Edge series. We got let me pull this up here too. Let me see. I just the kind of the difference. I mean, I'm sure you get the question all the time, right? About the differences between, you know, the Edge HD versus the standard SET versus those kinds of things. You know,
Yeah,
maybe
that
we can
controversy.
talk about that just a little bit on here, just a little bit. I
Yeah.
know that's something that Farrah kind of wanted us to talk about. You
Yeah,
know,
he's supposed to
there's
talk a
there's
little
my
bit about it.
there's
It's
my
an
there's my
ongoing-
next one right there, baby. Come on.
I can see Farrah going,
Oh, come
God.
on, baby. Come on. 14 all the way.
Well,
You know,
like I
these are-
said,
you
I
know.
think you're worthy of it with all this. I'm telling you. No, but
You know,
no,
I
it's
don't know
a-
if you want to talk a little
No,
or
no,
not.
no,
you
no.
know?
I can talk about it. It's fine. By the way, did you zoom in the image where from the PDF manual? Oh, I think you did. It's right there. PDF.
Yeah,
Page 13.
Page. Well, I
You
can
can go to page
I can
13.
go to page 13 here.
Yeah. Go to page. There you go. Can you? Is there a way to zoom in a little bit on it or no? If not, don't
Jeez,
worry about it.
you're awfully needy here
I
today.
am needy,
I don't
man.
know-
I expect
don't
with
know
all
if I
your
can,
brain power to run an operation like this,
let me-
you
let me-
do what I
let me do
ask.
that for you there.
Perfect.
There it is on the there. That's
There's
what
the
you're
go.
seeing here. By the way, is the stream happening.
Okay.
So everything you see here is that's our broadcast monitor. So
Well,
what time
it's
is
so
it?
funny. Even on the forums, there's always the ongoing debate about Edge HD versus SCT.
Yeah.
It is one of the most highly debated. But you know, there are a lot of myths in astronomy, and I'm one of those people that says just because a lot of people agree on something doesn't mean that it's correct.
Right.
There are many myths in astronomy. This will be number 11 in my opinion, you know, because of the hype that goes on about it. But look, if you had an Edge HD scope and you can use it visually or photographically, or an 8-inch SCT or Schmidt-Cassegrain, you can view wonderful. You don't even have to worry about any of this stuff that we're discussing. You can look through any scope. That's $200.
Absolutely.
So people, just put it in perspective. Don't get lost in all this stuff. You know, it's just if people want to get technical about things and they want to debate and they want to argue, then I do put up a fight sometimes.
Of course you do, and
Everybody
that's okay.
does, you know, and that's
Well,
what we
it's
all do
the-
in the forums. And
It's always
we
the
argue
question
and
of
debate,
what do you
and
want to
it's
do?
fun.
I mean, that's the
And I
whole
got a lot
thing,
of great
right?
friends. What's that?
It's always the question of what do you want to do? Like,
Yeah, but you see, but here's the thing: when you're a beginner, you sometimes don't know what you want to do, right? And that how you knew what you wanted to.
right.
You did. You were like, I want to look at it, and this is important, people. I knew I wanted to look at asteroids. You did.
Right.
What am I going to do? What do I need to do to look at asteroids? And you and I kind of pondered on it, and I said, look on the internet and get some opinions and stuff, you know. And you came up with this,
Right.
And it works phenomenal for that, you know. You can use a standard SCT for a hyperstar.
Well, and
Because-
let me show that hyperstar picture. So here's the setup that we use.
Yeah.
And it's basically we're pulling the secondary mirror out and we're putting this hyperstar. I will tell you this, after talking to Dean, you and I have talked before.
Yeah, Dean at Starzona.
The corrector that is in an Edge HD
he's a great
versus
guy, by the
great
way. I
guy,
do wanna say, I
phenomenal,
love Dean.
phenomenal
He's a
guys
wonderful
down there,
person.
man. Any questions?
Yeah,
they're awesome, man.
He's very passionate.
Shout out
I
to
like him.
Starzona. Those guys are
Yeah.
great. The difference between the Edge HD and the standard? None. When you're with the correctors, what he told me. There is a difference with the actual hyperstar, and the spacing and that kind of thing. But as far as the optics themselves and the corrector beam, it's not used in the Hyperstar. So
and you'll notice the little HD, which you told me about, because that wasn't,
there's a little HD right
little
there.
HD right there for the
actual HD. If you don't have that, it's for a standard.
There's a standard there.
So, but like I said, if you're like us, now you guys were gracious to hook us up with an EdgeHD, but my 11 is a standard, but it doesn't matter when we're using the Hyperstar.
Yeah, it'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But I think the thing too is that marketing is a powerful tool. I mean, let's think about it. $9.99 when you buy something. It's not $10. It's $9.99. And Howie Glatter, bless him, man. He passed away recently, and he always said that's an insult to human intelligence to charge somebody to market $9.99. But it is a fact. It is true that people will buy things because of the way the numbers appear.
Yeah.
It's just we're in that. It's just the way it is. But people, I think my friend Rick was telling me. He said, "What was it? The factor? What is it? I was telling you on the phone. People. It's like when you take medicine and you think it heals you, but it's not real. Placebo effect. Yeah. There it is. Yeah,
that's true.
It is. I'm telling you, man. People. It's like this kid had posted in the forums about it's way better than the SCT. The Edge is way better, and I kind of thought, this poor kid. He doesn't know. He's just starting out and he's excited, and I don't want to take that from him, and that's a nice thing. But he doesn't know enough to know what, I'm in the opinion that the information or people, I only have like a certain group of people that I listen to, or not listen to. I don't want to come off that way. I just mean that person has to have a certain reputation, or who has to have established themselves for me to believe the things that they're going to say. Bill Peon, and I have a lot of conversations. He's a very well-regarded guy, and we all sometimes have disputes and stuff. Even Bill and I do, but I respect his opinion a lot, and a lot of stuff he says is pretty genuine. So it's that kind of thing where if I'm going to get the information, it has to be from somebody who really has had some experiences with it, that understands it and has seen all the ups and downs with it. And another thing, to show us a Pickering scale. Pull up a Pickering scale. I want to explain something about Pickering scale. It's named after an astronomer. I think Pickering passed away in the 70s or something, but
no.
That's the diffraction patterns. Pickering scale. Yeah. So this here is astonishing, and you can see it live if you Google. Any of you people here can Google Pickering scale. It's a very important tool to explain things to people. People are like, I bought a scope and I got binoculars, but the stars look the same. People have this idea that when you look at stars through a telescope, you're supposed to see a globe or something, I think. A lot of people. You don't. No telescope resolves stars. None of them. So all they are pinpoints of light. So when you look at stars through a pair of binoculars, they also look like pinpoints of light.
Right.
You just see a lot of stars because you see a wide field of view. But when you look at a star, high magnification, I hate that word power, I have a reason, but high magnification. This is what they look like. The image looks really small. God, I'm sorry I sent you such a small file.
Yeah,
but
I was just
if
trying
you
to blow it
guys
up, but
Google
it's okay.
Pickering scale, Damian Peach's site will come up, and you'll see this grid of 10 boxes on the left column. It will come up, and you'll see the atmosphere that scintillates the
This
star.
says 1 through 10
1
on
through
here
10.
is what we're looking at, those numbers.
1 is the worst, 10 being the best.
Yeah.
There are times when you can look through a telescope and see stars that look like Pickering 10, Pickering 9, Pickering 8.
Yeah.
When stars look like Pickering 8, 9, and 10, that is what I consider a astonishing great night of viewing. And a lot of people don't realize that in Los Angeles, yes, I said Los Angeles, has the best seeing in the United States. Florida Keys area, United States. That is why Mount Wilson was placed. The observatory was placed on Mount Wilson because we are in the LA Los Angeles basin, has an onshore flow from the ocean, which flows over the inversion layer. And what happens is that it hits against the coastal, mountains here, Gabriel Mountains, where up on there where the observatory is, the scene can be astonishing up there. And I've had a lot of experience viewing up there. And the point I'm trying to make here is that many of the people who make comments about telescopes do not observe in areas that are conducive to understanding or seeing how incredible telescopes can be, or differentiating between the quality of one telescope versus another. And Some do, and sometimes they'll have good nights in places, but places like Colorado, forget it. You don't want to be in Colorado or Wisconsin to get good seeing. And I have a group of friends who will not post in the forums, don't want anything to do with them, who prefer to remain anonymous, who won't, just don't rely or believe some of the things people say because they know better, you know. And people start out, when you have atmospheric conditions that are worse than the differences in optical quality, then you can't see. How are you going to appreciate the quality of an instrument if you don't have, you know, the air that supports it?
Right.
You know, you can't understand it because you don't get under it. And so you're like, okay, this is great, you know. And, you know, it depends on what a person's definition is of good means. And
Right.
what is that? This is why I say I have to look at certain people that I rely on, that I believe. You know, you're not just going to take anybody's word for it that something's good. But back on this whole argument about EdgeHD versus SCT, you can use either one and have a great.
Well, here,
observing session.
I'll do this.
If you want to get really technical, I can get into that. But
let me.
that's another argument.
Let's put a picture of an EdgeHD versus.
Oh wow, you did some work with that. Oh, that's the 11 in the background. It looks like an 8-inch.
That's the
From
8
scales.
and the 11.
11 from perspective.
I mean, if I.
It's kind of cool. It does look like it. That's cool. Okay, so here's the funny thing. I got to cover a little history here. Okay, you never ever heard about the complaints. This is, I'm telling you, you can Google this yourself if you don't believe this. You never used to hear about all the complaints about SCTs as far as aberrations on the edge of field until the EdgeHD came out. Now all of a sudden, oh my God, you know,
Right,
SCTs are
everything's got
terrible.
aberration.
There's edges. It's not good. And I'm like, come on, give me a break. These scopes have been around for decades, man.
Yeah.
Decades.
That's
the
true.
EdgeHD is just a recent scope. Okay. And the problem here is that when you compare the two telescopes, not everything you look at, you know, like, it depends on what eyepiece you're using too. People just think the EdgeHD is sharper. Through a camera, it is sharper. Yes, because a camera does not have any kind of elements. It doesn't have glass elements. It's not a lens assembly. It's not an eyepiece. It's relying on the telescope to produce a flat field for it, and it does that, and it does it noticeably better than a standard SCT. An EdgeHD is basically an SCT with a corrector lens put inside of it. Just a little bit of differences on the you know, where the secondary is positioned, but it's basically that. And as a result, it has a flatter field. But when people start saying, "Oh my God, it's so much better than," no, it is not. And it's because if you look, it depends on what eyepieces you are using. If you're using, and I said this in the forum, if you're using highly corrected Naglers or using highly corrected Explorer Scientific, eyepieces, the edges look really nice. But if you take simpler Plossl designs, Airflows or whatever, they're not going to look flat field in an EdgeHD. And that's just, you know, all you have to do is experiment with different eyepieces. I've done it with a group of people. And I bet you, if you're a beginner and you're looking at these two telescopes, it's so funny. I could put these two scopes side by side. You would be struggling to see the difference between the two scopes. It is not like people pay. It's so exaggerated in the forums. They get so ridiculous about it. And I'm telling you, you can have a wonderful time with an SCT telescope. You do not need to spend an extra, whatever, $1,000 or $500 on an EdgeHD and listen to all the nonsense that goes on. There's so much nonsense. There's so much marketing and stuff that goes on. It's like, come on, let's get real, people. You know?
Hey, I do have one major complaint between the EdgeHD and the standard.
What?
The standard shows my fingerprints a lot more than the white one. LED. That's what I'll tell you.
Buff
A big
it out,
difference
man.
is right there. You look at my fingerprints right there, man.
Do you like the black tube or the?
I like the Look, the looks of the white is nice, and I will tell you, those that watch my stream, the white one's a lot easier to illuminate while we're shooting asteroids.
I'm going to tell you guys
but
something right now.
my son loves the black one. It's sweet, you know.
But you know, here's a scope that gets forgotten. Mead Instruments makes the ACF, and I like it better than all of them. I like it better than the EdgeHD, and I like it better than the Celestron SCT. And I like it because it adapts to various eyepieces well, and it ventilates. You know, ventilating or cool down is one of the issues, as the Achilles heel of the EdgeHD, and that's ironic because it has vents on it. But a lot of the confusion about it stems from the fact that people don't, and I'm sorry to say this, people don't understand how these things cool down. Did I bring that image? I sent you an email with an image of a star test.
Yeah, let me look for that. Well, I got the meet up. We're looking at the meet right now.
Yeah, that's the advanced coma-free optics. If you want to view visually, and you're just into visual, this scope is amazing. My favorite visual 8-inch Cassegrain scope is the LX90. It is, and I've said this. I'm not, I've said this before. This is the most fun, simple, and very reliable scope. And it has your GPS if people want all that. It is a wonderful scope. It moves up, down, left, and right. It's not really designed for photography, but it's a great visual scope, and it's.
I'll show you the star test, but before I do, I just want to tell people, hey, join the Discord. And again, if you have any questions after we're done with the stream, stuff tomorrow, post stuff on the Discord, man, and we'll
people are on the
I don't know if they're on right now.
We actually had a new member.
We've got some new members joining. So again, we have the chat in YouTube. Feel free to ask any questions in the chat. The chat on Twitch, feel free. We're here, and we're going to be wrapping up pretty soon. We've gone for an hour and 30 minutes here, but
let's take another hour and 30 minutes.
I know, Daniel, we'll go all night. You know what I mean? We love this.
We haven't even gotten into telescopes, but we'll eventually, maybe on the next one. But I'll briefly cover this star test. I want to explain something about this. This is what people do not understand about EdgeHD scopes, and this is nothing new. This has been around for decades. This is common knowledge among experienced observers that know about this stuff. There's a heat. Can you put your cursor over the heat spike? It's in the center.
It's right here.
Okay. That dark hole that you see in the center is a shadow of the secondary obstruction of the telescope. It's irrelevant. It's not. Don't be concerned about it. It's just that when you take a star and you rack the focus out, you see this Fresnel pattern. Some people call it airy disk, which is really not the correct, but we just do it anyway. We're lazy. And this pattern, it looks like a series of concentric rings, like throwing a pebble in a pond. If you look on top, you'll see this little spike that emanates from the center. And what that is heat that is stored inside the baffle of the telescope. And I've had numerous imagers call me on the phone saying, what is this thing? I'm seeing these funky elongations on my stars. And I always have to tell them, don't worry, there's nothing wrong with your scope. It's heat coming out of the baffle. But the reason the EdgeHD is so notorious for it, and I am not exaggerating when I tell you this, that 14-inch, we used it up here in the valley where the temperatures drop. And what happens is that when that temperature drops, it's harder for the telescope to acclimate. It took 5 hours. It never went away. That spike never went away. All night. So if you're one of those people who's going to sit there and tell me that you're like, oh my God, it's the EdgeHD, it's so sharp. No, when
There's
you
a
look
lot
at
of other
planet,
factors involved.
Yeah, it's just like, come on, man, let's get real. If you look at the star test, I sent you a photograph that shows you this spike through a planet. It's an aberrator that Marcus Liu.
So you don't see it here, right?
No, I sent it to you in an email. It's an aberrator.
Okay.
And I'll show you what it does, so you can
Let me
actually see how it degrades an image, and you'll understand this stuff. Okay. Keep going down.
Is it one of these? No, it's not that, right?
It was in an email that I sent, but JPEG image of probably prior to that.
Okay.
And it has a picture from Aberrator.
This is the cooling systems. Is
Yeah.
it on a website or something?
No, it was in Aberrator.
It was an actual image that you sent me.
I wonder if you were to put in Aberrator.
Oh, right here.
Okay, here it is.
Okay, let me do this.
Perfect. Pull that up.
I'm going to pull
I want to
this
explain
up.
this to you.
Let me just pull this over here so you guys can see this. Oh,
Okay. I need to see. I want to show Mars so you understand this.
Let me do this for you guys so you can see this better. Hang on. Let me get all this stuff out of the way.
So here's the thing that's really astonishing to me. Okay, and what happens is this is how it degrades, and you see how it degrades the surface of Mars
right down here, yeah.
Here, and you see the effect that it has. People that crack me up, they're like, well, the edge of field looked placebo. Don't get me wrong. We can go into that later. But when you look at a planet, it's a great test of scope's capability and contrast. And this is what happens. It degrades. That spike degrades the contrast that you see. And people don't know this because what's happening is that when you put in a wide field eyepiece in, you're looking at a wider field, right? And you're looking at stars that are more pinpoint. Well, you don't see this. This isn't visible. This becomes visible when you're looking at planets because you're like, well, what is this degrading my image?
Right.
Well, it's this heat spike that's sitting inside that baffle for ages. And you know, another thing that was really comical about the EdgeHD is people, I swear, they would tell you on the forums that it cooled faster. That is absolutely not true. It does not cool faster than a standard SCT. I can take the visual back off of a standard SCT and I can cool and let it acclimate the baffle.
Yeah.
You can't do that with an EdgeHD.
That's right.
There's a corrector lens inside there. So there's these various fans. Go ahead and pull up the fans. Starzona makes one called the Edge Cooler, I think. So
yeah, let me see here.
the only thing, and I'll ask Dean about this. I don't know if he's watching this, but I can't figure out. He said it takes 5 minutes. You can't cool a scope in 5 minutes. I'm sorry, Dean. You can beat me up later for this, but it takes time for a scope to cool it. I think he was just doing it for his little thing to explain it. He's got the video right there.
Yeah.
Okay, but the thing that's cool about this is that you remove the secondary on the fast star secondary for your hyperstar. You put this fan in there, and it helps cool the baffle and the optics and the inside of the tube, which is a great thing. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a tiny lip. You may remember. It's actually in the photograph. You can isn't that it?
Is it there or is it on this side?
I think I see it right there. Is that little lip there? See that?
Oh yeah, the little notch there.
Yeah. Well, what happens when you take, people say, don't realize this, when you take a secondary out of a hyperstar or fast star and you put it back in, you just put it in that little groove. But what people don't realize is, and they're saying it doesn't knock off your collimation.
Keep talking. I'm gonna bring up a picture of that here.
It was on page 13 of the PDF manual. It does knock off your collimation, and I'll explain to you why it does this. Okay. If you want, people have to get technical about this so they know. That tiny group, there's a gap in there.
I got some photos.
And there's enough gap to oscillate left and right when you put that secondary back on. There you go. It's perfect. You got it right there.
Yeah.
When you put that secondary
There's
back
the
on,
notch
there's
right
a
there.
tiny notch there, that gap. Well, when you rotate it left and right, it throws off your collimation. So what you need to
You
do
can
is
see the little screw there.
exactly when
right
you put
there.
that thing on there, position it all the way to the right so it hits the edge of the wall, and put your retaining ring back on, and then collimate your scope. That way, whenever you taking that secondary on and off, you position it to the right again when you screw it back on, and your collimation should be on.
Yeah.
Should be good. So that whole thing, about it going on, it's a little bit more to it than that. That your collimation stays in line. And collimation is where your mirrors are in proper alignment.
Well, and I had an issue. I think I told you this where when I got the scope from you,
yeah,
this screw was actually flush. It was actually down. So when I put this back in, it would spin. So you want to make sure. And you were like, oh, you need to back that screw out. So I backed that screw out. So it was kind of an interesting deal.
Yeah, I know. We gave you that scope. It's just weird. These are sometimes the things that happen at the factory.
So you want to make sure that screw is backed out so it'll actually catch into there. Otherwise,
because you don't want
problem,
that secondary or the corrector plate, nothing rotating there. You want everything in position.
For sure.
So the edge cooler was one fan. Okay,
Yeah.
That's one. There's another one that Ed Thomas does at Deep Space Products called the
Limax?
No, not the
No.
Limax. The Tempest fans. So those are a couple.
Did you send me that link?
Yeah, it's in that link. All three of them, I think.
Oh yeah, right here. Yeah, right here.
Yeah. So there you go. And these fans are very helpful. So here's the thing, though.
Right here.
So what I don't, you could probably get some opinions, but the thing is that they're small fans because he had to use small fans to do it, and people swear by them and they like them, and that's a good thing. So I'm not. You have to. We don't sell them. You'd have to get them from Deep Space Products from Ed Thomas. But people like them, and what you're trying to do is exchange the air inside the optical tube so that it's as close to the ambient air, meaning outside of the tube, as possible. But what happens is when you position the tube down, like what this example is, well, I guess it's the perspective of the camera.
Oh
so
yeah,
it's really not
it's actually
down.
turned. The
Yeah.
floor's here.
But let's pretend it is pointed
rotating.
down, like it kind of appears at first in there. This is not the orientation you would want this. Your best orientation will probably be lateral because you want
the heat rise out the back then basically.
I know,
is what
but
you
guess
want,
what
right?
happens? No,
No.
it is, but
That's
you
what
can't.
people think, right?
Right, but yes, in theory you would think that. But what happens is what happens to the air in the baffle? It's trapped. inside.
Yeah.
The tempest fans have nothing to, don't do anything with that, because all the heat's rising to the back where the tempest fans are, while the baffle that is causing the problem, which I showed you in the images, is distorting your contrast of your planets. You see? So
Cooling's everything, people.
it's huge. People,
huge.
you
It's
want to
huge.
know? Okay, you want to know how powerful cooling matters? Okay, Google Schlieren photography. Schlieren, it's German. Streak in German for streak. Okay, is the language. S-C-H-L-I-E-R-E-N. Schlieren. S-C-H-L-I-E-R-E-N. Google Schlieren photography.
There it is, right there.
You are in an invisible ocean. You don't know it yet, but when you Google Schlieren photography, you're going to see
Is it here?
Go left. Go back. I mean,
Go back.
yeah, that image on the left, seeing the
This one?
invisible in motion. There you go. This is one of the great videos that shows you what Schlieren photography is. And I was very fascinated with optical systems, but people do not recognize or understand how air moves and how it causes. It's like they bicker over these silly Stroh ratios, wavefront errors, and they completely ignore this
This is
kind of
heat.
Yeah.
Heat, basically.
Look at the
yeah.
heat coming off a human hand. Look at the heat.
Yeah, look at
coming
the heat
out
on
of a
his
human
hand. Look at that.
So people, I did a lot of research with Newtonian reflectors. I spent a great
This
deal
is
of
kind
time.
of fascinating here.
Oh, it's incredible stuff, and you can do it with some basic cameras and equipment, and you can do your own Schlieren tests with your own telescope without using an eyepiece. Just looking at a planet without an eyepiece through your telescope, you can see all this stuff.
So people need to understand. I mean, you talked about it in one of your earlier videos.
Yeah.
Even we're heat furnaces. I mean, us.
You are
Look at where your
heat
hand
furnace.
is. You being
Yeah.
next to the scope can have impact on the actual optics themselves.
Exactly. And the point is, exactly, if you're going to sit here and bicker about wavefront errors, and it cracks me up because when I see people do that in the forums, it reminds me of that they probably have not seen the physiological effects or what happens in nature
Yeah.
with things, because they don't know. If they did it, they would know this stuff. You know what I mean?
For sure.
You find out what people don't know when you look at the emphasis they place on certain things. And you're like, boy, you're missing out another world. There's another world out there you don't know about.
Right.
You know? And this is an incredible tool. And I have a lot of history. If you Google my name and you Google Schlieren, there's a ton
Thank
of
you,
articles.
TJN, for the subscribe, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, that's cool. And, I go on about it, and I can go on for ages, and I can tell you all about this stuff, and about these scopes. So we got on the edge cooler, the Tempest fans. Now,
Yeah.
The next one I want to show you is the Limax. Pull up the Limax cooler. You cannot use a Limax cooler with an EdgeHD. You can use it with the ACF because it does not have a corrector element in the baffle blocking the air. This, in my opinion, and I have one. I already have one. It is the most effective way.
An opinion or one of these coolers?
Everybody's got opinions, man. I got another one.
Exactly.
But if we want to argue about it, or debate this subject, then we have to discuss things here. What the Limax cooler does is you position it inside.
Lost that camera again, Brandon. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
But
Keep
we're
going.
still
Keep
on
talking.
it.
We're still streaming.
Yeah.
We're live here, people.
Okay,
These
there was
things
a
happen.
photograph of it in the telescope. If you scroll down, was it?
Was there?
See if there was. I thought there was. I emailed you a photograph with it, but I thought
Did you? You emailed
Yeah.
me a lot of stuff.
I should just text you.
Oh my
Maybe.
gosh, you emailed me so much stuff.
But what this thing is, the reason this one's my favorite, and you can use it on
Thank you, sir.
refractors, people. You can use it on refractors too. It works on refractors. It's what it does is it takes ambient air and flushes it in, and it's filtered, by the way, so you won't get dust or anything objectionable inside your tube. And it sucks air inside the tube, and it has to go out through the baffle of the telescope, which is the most ideal situation. That's what you want, because it's going to help you get rid of that spike that you see on the planetary images of Mars. It's going to help eliminate that. SCTs have that spike too. They just don't have it as long as an EdgeHD typically, because there's mass in there from the corrector and it floats up the chimney. It's like a chimney effect. It creates that effect. What the Limax does is it brings ambient air in, it circulates through the tube, and it has to push out somewhere. So what it does is it pushes out through the baffle itself. through these tiny little vents that are up here. It is the most ideal scenario because you want to get the air flowing against the walls of the internal baffle, which is what's causing the problem, man.
Yeah.
And get it flushed out of there.
Right.
So you can get up and viewing at the night. I mean, the other option is you can store your telescope in a cooled environment, and then take it out. Put your air conditioner on to as close to the ambient temperature that it's going to be at night, and do that. But people think scopes cool down in like an hour. And Brian Greer, I know Brian Greer is a friend of mine. He visited my place a couple of times, and we were so both of us were so fascinated. He did a couple of articles in Sky and Telescope magazine about thermal cool down. And what was determined was that a substrate, Pyrex, which is gone now, but different materials. There's Zeradur, and there's all these different materials that are used to make mirrors. And what happens is that mirrors store heat. If I have a mirror that's 10 inches in diameter, I have one that's 15 inches in diameter, they will cool down the same period of time, provided they are the same thickness. If the thickness is different, that changes everything. And what Brian Greer did is he did these Schlieren tests where he took a mirror. His website is Protostar Astronomy or something. You do Protostar Astro. And what he did is he did these tests where mirrors took literally hours to cool, because if the substrate is about 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit above the ambient temperature, what will exist on that mirror is what they refer to as a boundary layer, thermal currents. And that stuff is what distorts your images. So while everybody in the forum is saying, oh, dude, you got to have a peak to valley, you got to have this Strel ratio and all this nonsense, they're not even discussing this.
Right.
How are you going to appreciate a Strel ratio if you're not even dealing with this in the first place? It's like it's superseded. All that stuff is like a flea on an elephant compared to what this is. So if you want to know about telescopes and how to get them to work, you need to thermally stabilize them to get them to perform, so that that money that you paid for those expensive optics can shine, so you can appreciate them.
Well, and I think it's important too. Like, it's like anything else in life. We can go as deep as you want on this
I'll
stuff.
go deeper if you want.
I mean, he can.
If you want
The
to
fact
talk
is
about
that
this stuff and
people
go
get,
crazier,
but those
it's
that are
silly.
those that are new, like, you don't even have to be too concerned about this. Like,
You
the
don't.
fact
Just
is,
go out and have
go out
fun.
and have fun,
Go
enjoy,
out and
man,
have
enjoy.
fun,
Like,
dude.
I'll tell you this right now.
This is for
like,
all those nerds that want to argue online.
When I'm, when I'm taking pictures and chasing my asteroids,
Yeah.
I'm not super concerned about the cooling right off the
No,
bat. Like,
and you're
I'm not,
doing wide
like,
field.
I'm doing
But-
wide field,
but
right?
the only
Like,
time I saw that scintillating, like the Pickering scale, was when you zoomed in. Remember that image?
yes.
And people, if you go back and you may remember that the stars were
There's my
scintillating.
asteroid right there,
Yeah,
baby.
see them? There you go. There's your Pickering right there. Okay, and that's a scale from how steady the stars are. Yeah. And there's so much I can tell you about the Pickering scale and how it can be misinterpreted because of the brightness of the stars, of the aperture of the telescope.
There's
and how
so
the
many
area
factors involved. I mean, that's the whole thing.
It would take
It's
me
like,
too long to sit here and explain it. But if people want it and they want me to come back on, I'll be happy to elaborate in more detail about how
Sure,
this stuff goes,
sure.
because we can go limitless. I can go pretty crazy with this stuff, and we haven't even talked about refractors. We haven't talked about different brands of refractors, or
I always have massive appreciation for these topics that we're talking about, and I know that a lot of, I mean, it's incredible. Some of it's way over my pay grade in some of those ways, but I always come back. You and I talk about it all the time, man. I asked you before, like, hey, you think William Herschel was concerned about some of this stuff? Like where some of the
There's
guys that were
actually
really,
some
we're coming.
interesting-
By the way, people, we're coming up on the anniversary here, March 13th.
that's right. The discovery.
Discovery of
Yes.
Uranus
Yeah.
is coming up here.
That's pretty cool.
1781. But just understanding that so much incredible stuff was done without even some of those concerns. It's like, look,
Yeah.
the fact is, you got to get out there and you got to look and you got to spend time and you got to be passionate about the sky and the things you're looking at. And
you have to make these mistakes.
That's
you
right.
have to discover things yourself. You go through this process. But what I cannot stand is the lack of humility that I see in the forums, where
Sure.
people think they're
Sure.
entitled because they go in and they read about all this
It's
stuff.
that way with
They go into
everything, though.
I know, and they think they're entitled, like, as to know all this stuff.
Oh,
all this stuff. Dude, I'm just like,
we had
come on.
a new restaurant come up in town the other day, and we have a local forum, and somebody got on and talked about the restaurant and how the food was this and that. It's like, we've been there and we thought it was great, but
What
it's
did he
like,
say?
Well, they were like, "Oh, it's terrible." It's like, well, everybody's got an opinion. And everybody's an expert, you know.
Everybody's a
It's like,
freaking self-proclaimed expert. And you know, opticians are tired of all the nonsense, rhetoric that goes on.
It's, you know,
all this talk.
It is what it is.
Man,
so the fact is, it's just like you asked earlier. Why do we do what we do? Why do we chase asteroids? We're passionate about, you know, the science, and I'm trying to spend time with my son as a family to enjoy that aspect of it. Yeah. I don't care about half of those things that are going on. Is it important? Well, it can be, depending on what I'm doing. It always depends on what you're doing. Those of you that maybe are new to listening and don't know Daniel's extremely passionate. He's one of the most knowledgeable guys I've ever known. But he's also had this. He has a video where he talked about this. He has this obsession that he got back in the 90s about trying to discover how optics were and really find. And he was looking to fine-tune them. And he was with. But the whole thing is, he was with some of the most incredible guys too, man. Yeah, like Pons, people and these guys are blow-away guys, man. Like
Cardi and Philo.
Yeah, these guys were awesome, man, at what they did.
These guys are amazing.
So I mean, look, if I hung out with Kobe Bryant every day, I would probably want to be a pretty good basketball player. You know what I mean? It's like if you're hanging out with these guys, then you want to learn, and you're going to see that, and that's what Daniel did at an early time. You know,
these guys were amazing
people.
Yeah, they were inspired me. I could not have learned the things I learned without them.
Right.
And I'm telling you, man, those guys to this day still I have so much regard for Ed Grissom and John Pons and as crazy as Pons is. I always say he's crazy Pons. But that guy, I'm telling you, is a genius.
Yeah.
And you know, they taught me so much. I listened and I learned and I watched. And it's sad because people are so arrogant now. They're so like self-proclaimed expert because they think they read this stuff and they go out and they act like they're authorities on stuff. And it's sad. You know, it's like there's no humility anymore. Yeah. There's no mentorship. People don't respect people that have. I always wanted a mentor. I wanted to find somebody to help me learn this stuff. I wanted somebody to guide me. And you know what we have today are just people that go and they read all this stuff on the internet. They go in like authorities, and it's like you can tell I can tell just by reading the things they say who's observed and who hasn't. It's so easy to identify it because the people that have observed know about these things.
Well, listen, I mean, I've been audio engineer for 20 plus years, and
I'm getting into audio.
Well, listen, man. Everybody, when it comes to it, everybody's an expert. So, and that's fine. That's fine.
Whatever.
Listen, we're about an hour 56 in here, man. You want to?
And our limit's 2 hours.
Well, no, we can go. There's guys that stream 4 hours, but I don't know if we want to.
2 hours is good. We'll
pretty good, right?
Some stuff. We'll get
why don't we plug? I'm going to do some plugs here a little bit. You know, I mean, you guys help me out so much, and
I'll get into more detail about the EdgeHD, very more specific. We'll do some bullet points.
Sure.
I didn't do that. This is kind of a preliminary.
We can post some stuff on the Discord too, guys. Please join the Discord, man. There's places to have conversations. We can ask questions. You can see some of the latest news. I post stuff about asteroid news. We post equipment too, man. We're putting pictures like that up there. We ask you to join the Discord, man. There's a link there on the YouTube, in the Twitch there. Join it, man, and you can do this. So, but I'm gonna plug telescopes.net, Woodland Hills Camera and Telescope, man. We love these guys. They got.
And I'll come back. You guys, if you guys want this, we'll all have some of the most amazing people come into this little studio here and share there. We can get a hold of anybody you want. Yeah, man. I know a lot of people in the industry that we could bring in here to do guest speak.
Phone number right there, people. Contact phone number right there.
818-347-2270.
You can call Dr. D directly, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Telescopes.net. I'm Dr. D, your host. 888-427-8766, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it, man.
No, but Simon Tang does all the videos. This here is our live stream, which I kind of like because I can speak more freely. It's more natural.
Well, we want you to speak freely here, man.
I do. I want to. But Simon, and he does a great job on the videos. But, Simon's awesome. He directs me. He tells me how he wants me to do things. And I'm just like, okay, if you want me to do this, is how I'll do it, whatever. Because I do have a theater arts background, so a big background in theater arts. So, but anyway, that's cool. Watch the videos if you like. We have our Woodland Hills YouTube channel, and
and guys, we got our Asteroid channel here, so you guys are subscribed. We're going to try to stream basically every week, and we're chasing asteroids. We're trying to gather data for the Minor Planet Center.
Yeah. And I want to thank a few people since we're here and they're listening. But Kurt, my manager,
come on,
and I love Kurt. I want to tell you about real briefly about Kurt. Kurt to me is like the spinal cord. He's like the spine of Woodland Hills Telescopes, and without him, I don't know how long it would have lasted. I mean, he has come in and he's made constructive changes to the company and the business in an astonishing way. This has really helped us grow as a company. We're doing very well compared to what things were back in the day when we first started. And Kurt's very organized, and he knows my strengths and my weaknesses. And part of being good at whatever it is you do is knowing what your weaknesses are. And I got tons of them. And I'll be the first one to admit my faults at that, and Kurt's like, I am not going to have you do this because you're going to take 10 hours to do this thing.
Right.
You're horrible at it, and it's not what you need to do. But what Kurt does is he takes people's talents and he allocates it so that talent can be utilized in a constructive manner. And that's the key, I think, to doing things well is knowing how to allocate your employees to doing certain things. What do they do good? And get them in. Don't try to make a mule do what a stallion does, or vice versa.
Sure.
Of
course.
So,
of course.
And Farah, I love Farah too. She's just been amazing. She's kept the company going, and we're doing great. And there's other competitors out there. People have choices where they want to, do their business. That's fine. But if I'm happy to talk to people, if they want to call me or ask questions, I'll try to help them.
Awesome.
I'm not gonna. I've had people I've said don't buy a scope today. I've said, look, you don't. I don't even want you to because they'll come in here, they'll bring it back, and they don't know what they're doing.
You've definitely talked me out of a lot of different.
Yeah, and it's for
purchases.
for a good reason,
Yeah,
and I've cultivated more clients that way.
Right.
So
For
anyway,
sure. For sure.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Well, I
I'll come
appreciate
back
it greatly,
again.
man. It's really awesome. Let me put this back up here. So, all right, guys. Well,
We'll
we're
get
going to
into
close
the
out.
details more later.
Yeah,
if they want.
That's all right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and we put a little music on as we go out here. Just,
Exit music.
Little exit music action. All right, guys.
That's cool.
Thanks. Take care.
Adios.
Adios.
Usually ad-free listening on Pandora costs $4.99 a month. But right this very minute, you can start your free trial of ad-free Pandora Plus for nothing. Nada, zilch, zip. Tap now or head to the upgrade button in your menu to start your free trial.